We're not live. One is saying, do you know you were live?
What? But it says we're not. So we're broadcasting right now?
That's what it's saying. But that button still says go live. Apparently it's live already.
Well, good.
I haven't even set ultra low latency here.
Well, if that's the case. Oh, now it's saying we're broadcasting. My question was, how do we stop the stream? It's a stream forever. You better get over here then and introduce yourself, because I am Jason from Pear of Geeks. Hello everybody, Happy New Year.
Hi, I'm Becky, and yes, I just went for a fag, and there was testing and setup, and God knows what was going on. There is a setting on YouTube where it can go live the moment you start your stream.
Yes, but we normally don't do that.
But it's a new interface. So I think that's just happening. So how do we test? God damn you, YouTube. Right.
Oh, by the way, not for adults. I'm doing naughty
Yes,
signs, not for adults.
No, it is for adults.
Sorry, not for children. Not for You knew what I meant.
Well, I'll have to edit this broadcast after it goes live. But for now, it's all okay. Hello, everyone. Sorry about the cock up there at the start. In which case, you got to see something a little early.
Yes. See better on what it is.
That's going to totally undermine the bit where I actually show that later. So, yes, we are back from the break for the last time ever.
My screen just went really blue.
It did a bit, but that's because you have flux.
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right.
So, yes, this is our last ever Pog Live. Well, probably not the last ever, but it's the last ever regular
one. Yeah.
even though it's not actually regular this time of year because we do break for Christmas. But we've been streaming every week. But the thing is, we wanted to bring about a change on the channel. You see, the videos we most enjoy making are the hard ones to make, where we do mini setups, we talk about aspects of a game, and those kind of high quality, high production value videos that take an entire weekend to make. And you just can't do that on a weekly basis. YouTube is all about regular content, so we tried just going live, and it's a huge part of our life to do that. To have this regular every week. We never go out on Friday nights. We're always here broadcasting, except at Christmas.
I've had to turn down games because of it.
But the reality is, we much prefer making those better, high quality, high production value videos. We just can't do it on a weekly basis.
No.
So we thought, sod the algorithm. It's not like the channel's exploding with going live every week anyway, because YouTube wants you live every night. It's like permanent broadcast mode.
We were kind of stuck in the, do we make the effort, do a monthly, sort of bi-monthly video, and then it's going to get more views because it's about a certain topic, or do we go regular? And now I guess we've decided we do what we want.
Yeah. We just sod the algorithm. We're happy with our lives.
Well, I'm pleased to hear.
We do like doing the live chats.
Yes,
but
yes.
It is, at the same time, it's also a commitment that prevents us from making the other kind of videos we want to do. And we want to do, we went to Kirby Hall and we filmed there. Yeah. We went to other places, I'm sure.
Other places.
We love doing that stuff. But when you've got this weekly, we just live stream for an entire evening, and then the next day pack up your camera gear, go off somewhere, it becomes too much.
We were getting to the point as well where every Friday it was like, oh yeah, stream, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah. And so that's not a beer glass.
It's a tasteful glass for your sort of drink.
Goblet of wine. Okay. All right. So yes, so that's hence the end of an era. It's the end of regular live chats. I think we still might do them from time to time if we want to, but I want to make those other kind of videos, the not live, the ones that like we've actually we get more comments on those. We get more
Yeah, we get-
views and stuff like that.
Especially your mini ones, which
Yeah.
for me it's like I'm not so into minis, but at the same time, you know, we do love making those, and
Yeah.
we love getting the comments as well from those.
Yeah, I read every single comment we get. Don't always reply because YouTube sucks the life out of you. But yes, so, and I know what the next video is going to be
Yes, you do actually.
because we got sent this box.
I didn't actually know about this, and if I did, it was like a brief
Yeah.
passing in the wind.
Well, I mentioned it in October just before Complas 2.
That's why I don't remember it.
That's, yeah. Because, and to be honest, I forgot. And then I got a messenger saying, oh, I sent you a parcel from the person who sent it. And it was like, oh, we did talk about something like that. Because it's from one of our sponsors of Complas 2. And they're doing a Kickstarter. Now, we're gonna take a look at what it is. I'm actually not completely sure what this is. I understand it's some kind of Descent type D&D minigame, you know, the Myth, that kind of
Oh right, yeah,
game.
yeah.
I think. Right? But I spoke to him just before October, and I don't remember. But they were one of our Star Prize sponsors. This is from Thomarillion, who are doing this Kickstarter, I believe, if memory serves correctly, with Zitterdes, who are a German company.
She's when?
Or as I like to call them, Zit Dudes, because that's
Yes.
kind of how I read it whenever I see their name.
But when
So I
is this
don't really know what this
Kickstarter
is.
happening?
I actually genuinely have no idea. So the first thing in here,
Okay.
there's a set of dice that look a bit like the Hero Quest dice.
Ooh. And they've got a kind of a wooden feel to them, apart from the
have.
blue ones, obviously.
Now we've got whatever this box is, and I don't know what is. I genuinely have no idea. So we've got miniature base
Oh.
stands and minis. Oh wow!
Lots
okay,
of minis.
yeah. Let's. Well, I kind of want to see them too.
I know.
So.
But I'm happy to describe them as you have a look. So we've got some rat men, I think they are.
That. Yeah, it's
that
either a
Ratman?
rat man or a lizard man. So
That's a rat man.
let's see if we can get him in focus. Come on, little dude. Focus, focus, focus.
It's putting your ring in focus.
Yeah, not the dude. Right, tell you what. Private and confidential. There we go. That'll. This is not focus. Is that in focus? Sort of. Let me have a closer look. I'll describe the detail on
We
this.
also have a dwarf dude with like a hat
Wow, I've
on.
never seen and get a knee spike with so pointy before in a mould. That's incredible. I wonder if that's 3D printed.
Yeah, it's not great at focusing this camera. But they look nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail on that.
I like the big, like, spear
These can't have been
and
moulded.
halberd even.
These
No.
the detail level is too thin for moulding.
Surely 3D printed.
And there's no way, yeah, it must have been, but I can't see layers.
What
Got
do you,
this
what
wizard
do you mean
dude
by
right here.
layers for those
Well, when
of
it's
us who are
3D
not
prints,
technical
it
at this?
applies the print in layers.
Okay.
And so quite often you'll see these telltale horizontal lines,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't see any.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Wow. Like this dwarf is holding a crossbow that has so much detail on it. See if that even. To be honest, I think the detail's too fine for this camera to even pick up. But I'm trying to show these off, but
It did
can't.
look nice. There's a I like with the rat men. They've got a lot of layers of armor, like little tiny bits
Yeah.
of plates that all stack on top of each other.
So okay, so we'll review this at some point with the 4K video.
Yes,
camera,
absolutely.
I think. The spikes on these guys, they really are fantastic. You're putting them back in the box, and now I don't know.
I know,
what.
because I'm anticipating the next bit.
Yeah, I haven't looked at them all yet.
All right.
Give me time. I'm having a moment here.
Okay, sweetie.
Wow, look at the compound bow. That's got serious angles on it. I don't know if that'll come out. At
Oh
all.
wow, that's very over the top.
Full on lizard man fantasy thing. And of course, I suppose you could paint them up like Dragonborn 2 and stuff. So anyway, there's some minis. Right, let's see what's in here. So we've got traditional packing thing. Oh, right, I've got
There's a
post-it
note.
note.
There's
a
a
post-it
note.
note from Tommy. Hi, Becky. As Tommy already pre-announced, here comes you, Zitera test version. Okay, so this game is called Ziteria.
Ziteria.
And this is a test version of it. So we have a deck of cards.
Ooh. Which are in German.
So we've got the German version. That's going to be... Oh, yes, it's all in German.
Okay.
English pre-version.
It's an English pre-version.
So I've got a printed manual in German,
Okay.
and I have God damn it! I have a printout
Ziteria.
of English rules.
Okay.
Printed rulebook will follow. Apparently, right? So yes, there are rules. Okay.
Very much is at testing level then. Okay.
Yeah, well, this Kickstarter hasn't happened
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
here's some promo stuff for the Kickstarter. Is that a date? It's not, is it?
No, it's. I think it's saying 5 extra somethings if you spend over €100.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think.
it's all in German.
My German is not brilliant.
No, mine either. I mean, I know a little bit of Dutch, but it doesn't always.
Being a
translate.
classical vocalist, my pronunciation is quite convincing. So when I actually do say German, people think I'm German, but no.
Right. We've got. Right, so
Those
these
are tiny.
counters. They're counters of some kind. They are quite small. They've got
Please
numbers on the
use
back.
laser cut marker.
Right, this is probably from the factory as a sample.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, this is
Yeah.
a sample. They've sent me the sample set that they got from the factory.
Wow. Way more exciting than wallpaper samples. Do you like these tokens?
More laser cut tokens.
Oh, wow.
They
Yeah.
are quite small.
Mm.
Would be my response to that. Now, let's see what's actually in the box itself.
Oh, there's more things.
I was right with my thoughts. We do actually
Oh.
get a full 3D miniature dungeon.
Oh, nice. I didn't know it was a full one. I thought it was a sample. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'm
So this
pretty
video
chuffed
will
with
actually
that.
take a while to produce because I think I need to paint this up.
yes, you do. You do like.
So it comes kind of
buffing it.
pre-coloured.
Yes.
But, I think.
the smell is very.
Yeah. So this is
Let's not
is
spill the beer
hardbound.
on it.
This stuff's tough as
It
nails.
is. Yes.
But yeah. So it's kind of like a Hero Quest type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But you said it was like a board game as well.
Yes. Well,
So
like
there's
Hero
actual-
Quest is a board game.
So, as in there are actual rules for this.
Yes, that's what the rulebook was like. English rules.
Okay.
And so on.
Cool.
So there's a game for us to play here.
Create your adventure.
But they're using an actual dungeon set. This is fantastic. There's so much dungeon here as well. This is actually a lot of dungeon.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about the Dunkelstadt dungeon, because I've known about this dungeon set for a long time. So what they've obviously done is they've built a game around it. Oh, resin doors.
How very nice.
Totally. So basically, it's kind of, as far as I can tell, it's sort of like a Hero Quest, where you get. Oh my god, more stuff to paint. Where you get a dungeon set, but like 3D.
Oh,
I mean, Hero
nice.
Quest gave you cardboard furniture. They're giving you resin. Wow. So we've got some library shelves. We've got. Oh my god! I mean, that's
It's like a big desk.
Yeah, like with the spellbook thing.
Oh,
on
that's more like an altar actually. Yeah, it's got like a
Yeah,
big
so-
spell book or religious book.
Sorry, I
twin
forgot
thing
to
on
actually hold these up to the camera so you can see them, and the detail level is really high, as it always is. I mean, I said in my review video of Thomarillion, and Ziterdes are they're different companies, but they do a lot of stuff together.
Okay.
And like I really love their stuff. But we got this is like a brewery,
Oh.
but with meat hanging up in the as well. So it's sort of like a tavern
That looks
setup.
so cool. It's got like big
Yeah.
barrels and little barrels.
This, what's really good about it? Although some of this stuff, like this flame wall, for example,
Oh,
I
yeah.
do
Yeah,
have
yeah.
this. I do have I've got this weapons rack, for example. I do have from Thomarillion, but I'm also getting some stuff here that I haven't got, so I'm quite chuffed.
And also, you can't have too many weapon racks or
Yeah.
walls of fire.
So we've got the fireplace. if anyone who's played Hero Quest will sort of recognise some of the choices here. Oh, another
that,
kitchen.
kiln?
It's a kitchen with a pig spit roast. I have that painted up. You've seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't brought it out very often.
No, I use it where it's appropriate to use. We've got another kind of some more bookcasey stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
People in this dungeon like to read.
Oh yes,
People in the dungeon
yes.
like to read to pass the time.
And then we've got
Cupboards.
some cupboards and furniture pieces. So
Very nice.
yeah, this is. Oh my god, there's more. Right, so then we've got right now with the Dunkel set dungeon. What I'll do, I'm going to take one of these modules out of the bag. So this is a Dunkelstadt dungeon, right, from Thomarillion, or Terdes/Thomarillion. Now, with these gaps, you can either place the resin doors, or you can place these drop-in resin walls. So that just kind of drops in. I'm struggling to do it because, of course, this is live, so that will always, be an issue when you're doing things live. But it will. It goes in, to these gaps, so you can make the rooms or configure the rooms however you want.
Yeah.
But we have more.
Wow.
We've got. I don't know what this is. I'm going to have to pull them out the bag.
Little walls. Are they steps?
Yes, they're steps.
Ah.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We'll pull these out the blister as well. Oop, nearly. So yes, some sort of
cute.
step up type things to show your dungeon levels. And then more steps, lots of dungeon stairs. And that's it. That's it. That's apparently.
Still, that's a big box.
Well, when you can, if you think about Hero Quest, came with a cardboard board, cardboard furniture, and
Right, I'll take your word for it. It was a bit before my time.
Okay, I've had 2 copies of Hero Quest at one point. I think I still got the furniture, but it's up in the loft because I've got minis for everything.
Yeah.
But I might get it out for the review because I think it'll be kind of relevant. But yeah, they've kind of gone hell to it. This is what Hero Quest sort of should have been, I think. With miniatures and stuff, but couldn't be, of course, from back in the day. So yeah, sorry, babe. Do you mind if I get another dungeon set? Because I appear to have one. One of the things that is actually I've curious to try with this type of dungeon set, and I might do this because it's hard foam.
Yes.
And its sculpture's got as much detail as any as what you need, but of course because it's foam, you can modify it.
Yeah, you can cut bits.
Yeah, so I'm tempted to do some custom pieces, maybe some hidden compartments in the floor and stuff.
Yeah, cute.
But we will see. So yeah, that's awesome. Right, so that video will be coming up, but I think it will take a little while because I want to paint some of these bits up and I have to review the game unpainted, but then sort of go on to review the models on the end of that video, all in glorious 4K. Sweet. So there's been quite a bit of chat.
Yes, and I've just realised the mouse is up there.
Yes, well, I didn't realise we were live for half an hour.
No. Can we zoom in a bit as well? I can't quite read.
I was struggling to do that earlier before we went live. Oh, no, zooming the wrong way now.
bloopers.
Okay, so.
People are saying hello. Blooper, yeah, live again. Hello to Michael B and Ronnie and David Jack. Hello.
Hello, Phil B. Hello, Nathan
Nathan
H. This entire show will now be about minis. Becky is in heaven. It's not. We've got quite a few things to talk about. We'll go through that list in just a minute.
Yes.
Let's just catch up with the chat first, because we haven't said thank you to our Patreons and everything. Michael B says possibly resin printed. No lines with resin printing. I suspect you're right because it does feel like resin. But there's no way. Some of these pieces, this is moulded. You can tell this has been gravity poured.
Yeah.
Because on the underside you get that
like
telltale groove, or dip in the mould. But some of those characters, there's no way you could make something with that much fine detail in a mould. It just can't be done.
Okay.
Nathan H, it's like when I was a kid with a new box of Legos, couldn't tear me away. Terry says,
remember those times.
Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to everyone watching. Love minifigs, season miniatures who do wargaming and some fantasy 24mm figures with superb details on them. Technology today produces excellent figs. I mean, yeah, there's some amazing miniature companies out there now. Let's do our thank yous. Do you want to do that whilst I drink beer?
Yes, absolutely. So, on our wall, all washed out as usual because lights and stuff, is the most awesome people in the world. And I'm going to quickly get them down and read them out. So, thank you so much to everybody who's watching tonight, of course, who has come back, essentially, and to these people who basically make our channel possible and also our charity convention and help us to do this. Financially speaking. So thank you so much to Russell Higgins, Jolly Mangina, Mark Threlfall, Brandon Fishwick, Ormber, Dave Poirier, Fugue Enterprises, Nate Hanshan, AJ, Philip Bates, Elizabeth Cho Predictical, and David Gaskin. You are the most awesome people in the world, TM.
Yes, and I actually did, for the first time ever, I pulled out our Patreon money, withdrew it to cover the shipping cost of the prizes from Con Plus 2. And it very nearly matched exactly what I spent shipping, which was amazing. It was just shy. However, because we don't do anything over Christmas, and with a couple of those people have left us.
It happens.
The projection is that next year we will be short for the shipping.
Yes.
So we'll figure something out. I hope by then I can bankroll it. Of course, I'm in overdraft at the minute, so we'll see. Right.
We'll see.
So, coming up on the show today, we've done the first thing and we've done the last thing.
Yes.
By accident. So, we're going to show you Prize Fighter, which if you got here early, when we thought we weren't live, you may have already seen. It's not finished; it's a work in progress. But we're gonna show you that in just a moment's time.
We should probably explain as well to the new people what it actually is as well. What it's
Yes,
for.
we'll go through all of that shortly. We're going to talk a little bit about Chaosium because we've got 2 big bits of news with Chaosium.
Yes.
That you will hear.
And
here
this is
first.
where I go all big and smiley and I'm in heaven and stuff because
I thought we'd talk a little bit about our corporation campaign.
Yes.
And then our topic for the night is outside influences.
The Deus Ex.
Yes. So we'll get to that later. But first of all, Prize Fighter. And this is my bit of the show. So
Okay.
if you haven't seen Prize Fighter, it's probably because you didn't watch Con Plus 2. So I should start by explaining what that was and what Con Plus 3 will be. Con Plus 3 will be held in October of this year. Con Plus 2 was the largest RPG giveaway in the history of, I think, more than YouTube, but I think it was the largest RPG giveaway full stop, but it was definitely the largest on YouTube to date.
Yeah.
We gave away almost 400 prizes, or was it over 400? I can't remember if it was shy of or more, but it was around 400.
No, it wasn't 400.
So it was like 360 or something, wasn't it? Or something in that region.
I to be honest, the last few hours were very strange for me because I kind of had to go and lie down, so I really don't remember. But we definitely broke from the year before, and that was about 160. So
we absolutely smashed it.
Yeah. So it would have been at least 300.
I know, definitely over 300.
Yeah.
So it would have been around 350, let's say.
Yeah.
So we gave around 350 RPG products away. And to put that into context, I mean, one of our star prizes was a dungeon set. It wasn't this one, but it was a full resin dungeon set from D&B Games that also included, as part of the same prize, also included something like 50 odd miniatures from Reaper Miniatures, and it also included a voucher for the people who sent this to us, so Thomarillion, so you could go and buy some accessories to decorate your dungeon with. And then, because D&B Games were watching the stream live at the time, they actually said that they would add some accessory packs in as well on top of that, which was amazing. So it was a huge prize, and that was just one of our star prizes.
Yeah, and just to steer away, reiterate, it wasn't all minis that we gave away.
No.
But there were a lot of minis that we did this year, which we didn't really do the year before, which was fantastic that we got that in. But we did many PDF like GM supplements. We did
signed books. We had
signed rule books,
boxed sets.
Yeah.
Paizo gave us the full kits for Starfinder.
Yep.
We had 2 of those. Plus the new Pathfinder 2, of course.
We had like things like dice. We had the all rolled up stuff as well.
Yeah.
Dice mats.
So loads and loads of RPG prizes, and we give all of this away over the course of a 24-hour stream.
Yes.
And that was Plus 2, during which we raised I
believe 3,749.
Yes, I think that's correct.
Pounds
for charity. And it's a really amazing charity that we support with it. It's called the Butterfly Project, which is a school in Uganda that uses board games and role-playing games as a critical part of education for the kids.
Yeah.
And what the audience won't know is that I went over to the founder of the charity's house over Christmas, Ben Parkinson. I was having a chat with him. Filmed some little snippets for use in Plus 3. But what had happened with the weak exchange rate, and also they'd lost a couple of big backers, at the time of the convention last year, they were weeks away from the doors shutting on the charity. And when the money from Plus 2 hit, they were able to stay open. And not just stay open, but they ran an event for the kids as well, a superhero event thing. So, because the Marvel thing was big at the time with the Endgame or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So, thank you to everyone who was there and part of that, because we genuinely saved a charity.
Yeah. Which is such a difference compared to when we did Child's Play, which was great to raise money for, but they would have not missed the amount that we put through. Whereas we've literally saved this charity. It's still here because of the convention and you guys.
Yeah. So thank you very much for that, and we're going to do it all again next year.
Yes.
Bigger.
Plus 3, and hopefully I'll be able to actually survive the whole 24 hours and not get sick.
So now we've done the preamble. What is Prize Fighter? Prize Fighter is the mechanism we use to give the prizes away. And all you have to do to get a gladiator is take part in the YouTube chat, come watch the convention with us, and you get a gladiator that appears in these battles, and we duke it out. And we're making... last year was the first time we used this tool. It was something I wrote using old bits of code, and I kind of cobbled it together and made this thing. And it was all kind of copy pasted from old projects and sort of hacked together. And I remember, if you put 11 people in the arena, the game would crash.
Yeah.
So we ran the whole thing with 10 people in the arena at the time. And it was very much a prototype.
It was still great fun though, and people really enjoyed it, which I was so pleased about.
It was so hugely popular that the day after presenting a 24-hour convention, I started coding for next year's one. Yeah. Because I thought, that went down well, let's now do a proper version.
What is wrong with you? But I remember you were worried beforehand of, will this catch on? I'm thinking, I think it will. I think it will. It's got sort of tried and tested methods that I've kind of been inspired from, and to the idea.
But the idea itself was very new. Nobody had done it like that.
No, they hadn't.
Nobody had done that before. Like playing a game over YouTube, in essence. Because there were things you could do on the website to change your gladiator and stuff.
Yeah, that's very true.
We won't go into much details on that, but it was very simple last year.
Yeah, but it exploded. Like everybody really enjoyed it, and it never got boring either. Yeah. Even though essentially it was just the same sort of fight
24 hours later, Lloyd and I, who were still alive at the end, were still shouting at the screen as we were watching these fights unfold. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So yes, working on a new version. It can handle more than 10 people in the arena. What you're going to see is still in development. It's very early in development, so you will see the odd animation glitch. I've written a new animation system that's really smooth and cool.
It is very smooth.
Some of the data in the animations, because I've got a lot more animations this year than we had last year. And some of that data isn't yet right because I haven't finished making them properly or smoothing them out and stuff. And you might see, or you probably will see somewhere, a couple of characters that have got two hairdos on at once.
Okay.
That's because it's going to be optional as to there's multiple looks, and I haven't yet done the bit that actually sets all that up. Some will be holding multiple weapons, and none of them will have the stats that represent their graphics. So you might well see a magic user in full armor. And actually, behind the scenes, though you won't know it, they might have no armor at all. But that's because that stuff hasn't been done yet.
Is the spellcasting boobs thing still in there?
So Jason's referring to... Yesterday, I was working on this colour spray spell, which is still a work in progress, and it needs a bit more work still. But I was writing this graphic shader for it. And
she called me into the room.
And this situation unfolded that was just hilarious. Because although it wasn't actually doing this, what it looked like, there were these two women casting their spell like this, and they're doing this action. And this thing was bouncing from one breast to the other. It was just... And it was like in this infinite loop of this. But anyway, no, it's colour spray has changed a lot since then.
Oh, wow, okay.
Other spells that I've got in, I've got what I call Shockwave, which is sort of Thunder Wave, really.
Yeah.
I've got a Chain Lightning effect, and I've got a Fireball effect. There will be more. I'm still creating this stuff. I still want to do Cavalry. So that's not in at the moment, but I have the models and the animations mostly done. There's a few glitches. I haven't got any of the logic for that at all yet. I want to do Flooding of the Arena and Fighting on Triremes. Sorry, it's the Pear. And I want to do Chariot Racing.
Yes, you told me about that.
So we can have a look at where that stuff's at. It's not... I mean... I don't even know what it's going to do. Actually, I think I know what's going to happen if I show you the triremes. What you're going to get is water, a couple of boats floating around, and then all the people that are in the arena thinking or moving relative to a boat. But it might not even work, to be honest, because I'm not working on that stuff at the minute. Yeah. But there's a lot more stuff going on in the back end as well. So you'll be able to build your wizard spellbooks, and because I'm so nerdy, I thought every gladiator should have a name. So I started researching Roman names. And they have a prenom, a nomen, and a cognimia to form a Roman name. So I did all of this, and I got it in, and I got genuine names that could happen and stuff. And I thought, but not every gladiator that fought in the arena was Roman. So I thought, better add Numidians, better add Iberians.
Any Gauls?
I may have done Gauls. I've done the only one, and the thing is, I've done tons of research onto naming conventions in Rome for people of different regions. Honestly, I put way too much effort into the random name generator. The only one that isn't totally authentic is the Thracian one, because Thracian names tended to rhyme. And I thought about this, and I thought, I could match it based on the sound of the vowel at the end. But then I thought, actually, I genuinely have no idea what the accents would have been in Thracia. Therefore, I don't know how to make these things rhyme. So I thought, you know what, if I try and do it, it might work. But I decided not to.
You have definitely put a lot of thought into this.
Way too much. Way too much. There's male name databases, female name database for all these different regions in Roman time. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Right.
Kitty agrees with
I
me.
need to now move over there because I've got to go and sit at the computer to run this thing. So.
Okay. Go right ahead. But yeah, from what I've seen, it does look a lot better. I mean, there was nothing wrong with the first one at all, but it did look a bit dated. Whereas this is... Well, it's got lots more stuff going on, a lot more detail as well.
Yeah,
although
we've got a
if you,
lighting engine now.
yes, actually, yeah, that's very true. We've got a lighting engine, and one of my ideas was as the con goes on and we go into night, then the lighting will change to nighttime, then it'll come back into day.
So it's using the real-time clock right now to show the lighting, And so this shadow that you see on screen here will move through the course of the day. Now what we're seeing here is the remnants of a battle, so I'm going to restart it now and we'll just sort of watch them fighting. It does take a moment to load, so we just give it a second. And at the moment we don't have the automatic camera, so I'm controlling it by hand with the mouse, so please excuse the fact there's a mouse pointer on screen and all the movement is jerky.
Well, I'm sure they can cope. And also, obviously, it's not going to be that weird green colour behind the gate.
Might be.
Maybe, yeah, okay, they come through a gate to the Rollier world.
If I zoom right out,
yes,
it's a really weird green cloudy skybox, which I just thought was dramatic, and you've got a planet up there. But
why not?
You won't see that, but I do use it for the reflections on the armour. So, wrong way, there we go.
So
here they come filing in double file.
Yeah, so tell us what new types of people you can select are.
Firstly, you'll notice there's more than one health bar now.
Okay.
You've got health, stamina, morale, and some of them have mana. And you'll notice also, check out the way this armour renders. You've got lots of glinting and shiny stuff. And it's all correctly light sourced as well from these 4 fireplaces. Plus the sunlight as well. Although I don't cast shadows from these lights in the middle because that would be too intensive. But yeah, so in terms of types of people, really, you've got fighter and mage. But we just saw fireballs going off there. So you see that mage is burning.
Very, very much burning. Alive, yeah.
I'm hoping we get to see some chain lightning because that is just awesome when it goes off. So, come on. Somebody cast lightning somewhere.
So, how does... well, I'm interested personally to know how morale works.
Okay, so what would happen... How
you don't know?
No, I know how it works. But, there went lightning! We just saw some lightning in the background.
I was distracted by the glitchy movements.
Ignore the glitchy movements.
Okay.
They're nearly perfect.
Okay.
But you see that person there, did you see the wizard in the foreground, where my mouse is now? They didn't die, they actually just gave up and laid down.
So that's the morale thing?
That's because of morale. Now, they tend to lose morale if they get ganked by multiple people, because what will happen, if you end the fight and you may have just seen also somebody just stood back up. If you end the fight with no health left, and you'll have multiple gladiators next year, so what happens is they're injured and they can't take part in the next fight. But if they are getting ganked by multiple people, they're going to die, right? So the morale system means this guy here is... Oh no, he was taunting. They're kind of waving at each other in the fight, they're having a go at each other. But what the morale system enables is it basically makes the gladiator give up before, if they know they're going to die.
Yeah.
They just go, you know what, there's no point fighting on.
Basically Theoden at Helm's Deep going, so much death and blah blah blah.
Yeah, it saves them for the next fight.
Yeah.
So they just kind of voluntarily lie down.
Okay.
Now, if a character does that because the morale is broken, they won't get back up. And if they run out of health, they are too wounded to get back up. But if they run out of stamina, that basically means that stamina's like temporary hit points. It tends to go down faster than hit points, but it can recover mid-fight. So if you take a lot of hits too quickly, you go down, but you might get back up, especially if your morale is high. So if you've got high morale, you're much more likely to get back up and rejoin the fight after going down.
Okay.
Now, it won't tend to happen on the small fights because of the way I've timed it. And I think for a lot of the time, we'll probably only have 20 to 30 people in the arena. But when it comes to the prize fights, I want to open it right up because... like the star prizes, I really felt bad for people who didn't get into that final fight.
Yeah, me too.
And I see no reason why we can't, with this new one, we should be able to run 100 people.
Yeah.
In fact, I've actually run it on my computer at 120 people, but my computer's quite old, so I have to run it the battle at half speed. But on the night, we'll be using your computer, and your computer's really powerful. So let's restart this and we'll watch it through again. And I'm going to do a few other things yet as well, because I've actually done a sit down and stand up animation, so I fully intend to use this throne here. There's going to be some cool stuff, and you'll notice also there's some grates inside of the arena. I fully intend those to open.
Bring out some monster nasties.
Absolutely.
You are going to do the whole thumbs up, thumbs down thing, aren't you?
I've been umming and ahhing about a good way to do that, and the only way to do thumb up, thumb down is for people to vote. But the impact it could have for people, like if you kill someone's gladiator,
Yeah.
and bearing in mind that because we're raising money for charity, there are some microtransactions. There might only be 10-20p, but you can't have somebody's gladiator killed by vote.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
Even if it's only cost a pence, the fact is it's money has moved. So yeah, I'm not. Unless I can think of a good way to do that, which doesn't essentially infringe on a player's enjoyment. As long as it adds to enjoyment, not takes away, then yes. But at the moment, I don't think it's the right thing to do with what we've got here. And also, little historical fact, Hollywood has taught everyone the wrong way to do thumbs up and down. It's actually the opposite.
So thumbs down means you live.
Do not kill the gladiator, and thumbs up means kill the gladiator. Because it's an instruction to the person who's conscious, not the state of the person who is asleep. Oh, chain lightning, and I moved the blinking thing. So what happens
there
with
we
lightning?
Go. Nice. That looks a lot better than when I last saw it.
Yeah, but what can happen with it, and it's why you don't see it so much, is the wizard will tend to use it against highly armoured targets, because that can happen where it chains. So the higher the armour value of the target, the more likely it is to chain off them and each person in the chain. And also, it's the one spell, of course, that does more damage against highly armoured people.
Yes.
So I can't wait to get people's avatars over here and commentate on this.
I've not seen any thunder waves yet.
No, they don't seem to be triggering, sadly.
Oh well.
I did them at 11:30 last night, so I know the spell works. Whether it's being called or not is another matter. Because but once I get the spell to work, I then have to do the logic for actually the wizards casting it, and that was 11:30 last night. So, so that's the arena fight, and you see people are starting to get back up now. So this has got, I think, 30 people in this at the moment. And as you can see, you didn't really see people getting up during the fight in the 30 people. You might get the odd one if they had particularly high morale and went down early enough. But the idea is, in the prize fights, you might just come back in. It's a little extra tension, because to win, you have to be the only one standing.
I'm just wondering why that guy has a longbow and is trying to fight melee. Is that a longbow?
I haven't done archery yet, but I intend to. So this is what I was saying, where you might see somebody holding multiple weapons.
Oh, I see. I was going to say, from what I could see, he was just hitting someone with an arrow, but he had a sword as well. So
Yes.
okay, that's not the best way to use an arrow.
But the animation system does different animations if you're defending with a shield and without. There's very few 3D models I've got at the moment that have got shields on, but it does actually change not just the animations, but how much stamina is expended when
You just
defending.
missed that.
Sorry, I was looking at you, not
The other armored person got up. The winner ran over to them, and they were just annihilated straight away. That was hilarious.
And that is something which could happen, because what I'm going to do, I think, is when it detects the end of the fight, or there's one person standing,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to wait about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds before actually saying, yes, they've won. Just
Oh, yeah,
for a
yeah,
chance
almost
of someone
like-
standing up
Yeah,
and
almost like wrestling where you count
Yeah.
like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and then you might just get someone stand up in that moment.
Yeah.
But I'll begin the victory animation.
Yeah.
So they'll start to be declared a victor, and then it'll be like, no, there's a recovery.
Yep.
So yeah, just add extra tension. But yeah, that's it at the moment. Now I have no idea if this even can work at the moment because I haven't triggered any of this stuff. Let's have a look. The arena, definitely, what I think is going to happen is the fight will kind of start and it will all be messed up because the AI logic has no concept of this. But here's the arena flooded instead of with fire pits. So we see we've got a nice water reflection going on.
So pretty.
Yeah, and you get that nice. This is why there's a skybox in there. It's in order for these kind of reflections to work. So here are our triremes, and people appearing on the deck, and very soon it's going. The logic on that, I'm sure, will start messing up, and weird things will start happening. Then what I'm going to do with these fights is. And there's no 100% guarantee this will be ready for Con+3. This might be Con+4. But basically, the two boats, they kind of shoot arrows at each other. Now we've got people randomly walking in the water. But they'll shoot arrows at each other. And when one boat's empty... I should add, it's my intention to try and get them to jump across boats. So when they're close like this,
then flop.
Some of them will actually board the other boat and stuff. And then they'll jump across, and so you have deck fights and going on. And when there's only one team left, that's when that team starts fighting amongst itself. So you have to kind of win a team fight, and then you win a free-for-all.
That's cool, I like that.
So that's the plan with that. Something weird going on with my change there, never mind. I think...
There's lots of weird things going on.
I know what that is. That's because transparency is a very hard thing to do, and I think the transparency within the flame stuff is kind of messed up the transparency on the water. Right, anyway, let's move swiftly on from that, and I think it's 1 hour or 2, can't remember. So let's have a little look. It may or may not be working. What's it going?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What the hell's that?
That is a chariot. Don't knock it. Don't knock it. It's one of 2 different chariot designs.
I mean, it's very nice. It's just we need some context, or else it looks like a surrealist piece of art.
Well, it get more surreal if I get the planet on screen. There we go. Sort of. There we are. Right. What's just happened? Right. It's loaded.
Okay.
This is the Circus Maximus. And it's just the full thing. I probably won't use this, but it actually does have an interior.
That is brilliant.
And again, it's got all the day-night cycles and stuff like that. But this will be the last thing I do, so this might not even make Con+4, to be honest. We'll see. But yeah, the whole thing is here. I really would love this to be finished by next year. There is another chariot design as well, so you'll be able to choose the heavy chariot or the light chariot.
Okay.
Because you do, whilst the actual fight isn't interactive, you do set up your gladiator. You will be doing the training and stuff like that.
Do you get to choose the animal that pulls the chariot?
It will be horses.
Okay.
That's just, I have no intention of doing more than that. Because
so nothing over the top like polar bears or anything?
No, because the problem is at that point I'm not just rendering your gladiator, I'm rendering a chariot and 2 animals. So what I intend to do is a cheeky little trick where I draw several of these with one draw call. It's like an optimization I'll do, and that just means they'll all essentially they'll have the same creatures.
Yeah.
Or the same collection of creatures. So I don't particularly, because it's going to be a lot more going on than the gladiator arena, believe it or not, just in terms of what the graphics card has to do.
Yeah.
Because it's your gladiator plus all this other stuff. So to get the same number of people in, I have to be clever about the way I do it, and that, unfortunately, will mean you probably won't be able to choose elephants and giraffes and stuff, or gazelles or whatever,
or bats.
Yeah. Although the thought of using these doors has occurred to me, something coming out of them, but we'll see. Because until I actually start coding this, I don't know how much I'm going to do to it, but it did occur to me that I could maybe have gladiators jumping across from one chariot to another.
Ooh.
Things like that, and actually kind of throwing people off chariots maybe, but yeah, I probably won't go that far with it. But as you can see from the way that the lighting engine works, I probably won't be using this in the dusk hours because half the trace
Yes.
is shadow. So, although I do quite like the long shadows on the I forget the name of this, the Circus Maximus, this thing down the middle. They do have a name for it, Pilum or something.
I don't know.
I don't remember. But yeah, that's the Circus Maximus. So that's going to be prize fighter for Complas 2, and you know, I think once I've got this kind of built, I don't see a reason not to then do something on a kind of more permanent basis. Because I was thinking of it, you know, maybe after Complas 3. And this is all just a maybe. I mean, we need to talk about this stuff.
Well, yes.
Stuff. You know, in terms of what we want to do at that point in time. But
Yeah.
Maybe Complas 4 is actually more of a site than it is a single event, and we do things all year round. But kind of, you know, have something like this but playable. I don't know. There's all sorts of things that could be done to raise money for the charity that, you know, don't involve us staying up 24 hours. But we'll see what the future holds. So, but anyway,
Shall we put the camera back on our beautiful faces, or rather my beautiful face?
And then catch up on chat. So
Yes,
I'll put the mouse over to you.
absolutely. I'm just trying to work out where we got up to. Lots of nice reactions by the looks of it to the prize fighters. So yeah, here we go. So Ronnie and Michael said it was very fun, hilarious to watch as well. Right, looking forward to the sequel in Complas 3. Prize fight was fantastic, says Phil. Mike B said, but if you have fun while doing the research, that makes it not work.
I presume it's referring to the name stuff. Because I did get totally nerdy about the names, but... Yep.
Hello, Black Halo, by the way. Hello, Fuke. It's okay to be late because you're in Canada and, you know, time zones and stuff different. It's all good.
Is that the only reason?
No. No, I'm late for stuff sometimes.
So Madame Black Halo says, lots of gladiators
flying pan flags. That was what?
Pan flags?
Yeah, pansexual flags, like the pansexual pride.
Oh!
Because I look at it and I thought, yeah, that's a flag of some sorts, and you've just reminded me, yes, it is technically a pan flag. That's
awesome.
awesome.
Down with that.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, on the topic of the name generation.
Oh, that's true.
I also, of course, did, you know, was doing the gender creation in the system, male gladiator, female gladiator, and so on, because it turns out that despite the opinions of lots of people, that lots of women did actually fight in the arena. But I thought, screw history on this, I actually just want representation. But then as I was doing it, I thought, well, yes, representation is important. So why isn't everyone represented? So I started looking up historical information, getting as much information as I could to try and get a roughly, approximately accurate chance of a person who is born as one gender but presents as another in Roman times. And that is also in the generation. So you might get a female name but on a character that looks male, but then it will have a gender marker underneath for female. But then, of course, what I've also done is I've then considered, well, if they transition in some way, then there's a chance that they'll then look as they should. And so all of that's also coded in, and you might actually have a character that's transgender and not even know.
Yeah.
But mathematically in the back end, it does go through that process because I'm a nerd.
You are indeed a nerd, yes. Okay, so how's everyone's new year going? Well, basically, we made a kind of New Year's resolution that we would not commit to so many things because we got tired and burnt out, and I definitely realised as well this is not enough time for us to do everything. But already we've kind of committed to a few things, which we're going to talk about anyway in a minute. But not too many. It's all
It's been
good.
an expensive year so far. Cause,
Yeah.
I bought a new bed, hence the overdraft.
Yep, and wedding
And
stuff is
mattress.
getting purchased.
Wedding, yeah.
Yep.
Hence overdraft.
Well, not for the wedding. That's all from my account.
It
So
has
that's
been
okay.
so far,
But
yes.
the bedding, yes,
I
that
was
was
trying
expensive.
to save money for it and got spent on the bed.
Well, anyway, Phil B says, "Book me a spot."
Just got to turn up in October at Con+3
Well-
and take part in the YouTube chat.
You don't book to be a gladiator. You get forced into it through kidnapping and or sword point.
I still kind of remember the reactions when the very first fight happened, and
Yeah,
people just
yeah,
like
yeah,
were
yeah.
blown away by like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's my name on screen. They have a gladiator.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why I thought that's a great idea is because I've seen it work before on Twitch. I've taken part in things where it's like your name being attached
On
to a
the
thing
screen.
on screen.
Yeah.
It is
That was a physics
so
game, wasn't it? Thousands of marbles going down a course.
it creates dopamine.
Yeah.
And there are lots of sort of Patreon rewards you kind of get where it's like, oh yeah, your name will be called out in this, or your name will appear here, and it does make a big difference.
Yeah,
So,
there are computer game streamers on Twitch
Yeah,
that do
yeah.
It's not quite the same thing because ours is interactive.
no, but that's kind of where it came from.
The original seed was, I mean, I was watching you play this marble game and I said I could do something like that for us.
Mm.
And that was kind of like, this sort of germ was born out of that conversation. And
Yeah,
it's
in
like-
that I said I think this would be a fantastic
and I
idea
said
if
I
we
could
could
do
do
something way
like
better
this.
than that.
Yeah, yeah. But I said, yeah, it works so well because you just just sign up on you press a code or something, you assign to a marble, you go down this physics engine, and
Yeah.
cool.
So Phil is asking, do wrecked chariots get in the way? Now that would be cool, wouldn't it? What about the horses? Loose horses?
Where are you up to? Oh, you've missed out loads
Oh,
of chat.
sorry.
That's why.
I'll leave it to the professional.
Right, Black Hair says, I can't wait for this. The last one was so good, I'm still thoroughly enjoying my prizes. Fantastic to
Yay.
hear. We've had a few more people say that they've got their prizes, even like
Everyone should
Canada
have
and
had it
stuff.
ages
Yeah,
ago.
but like Canada as well, or like Way Out, they've got theirs as well, which is great.
I gather the Ian Livingston signed mini blister from Atlantis
Was a bit damaged.
Was apparently slightly damaged, yeah.
Slightly damaged, which kind of sucks. But
Sorry.
we don't have little tiny boxes, and it didn't come in a box,
We
unfortunately.
don't have the facility to package
No.
everything and then make expensive postage.
No.
Like we have to.
It
we
is
have to
us
send
too. We caused a massive queue in the post office, and everybody hated us.
on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
But it's
People really hated
It
us.
is hard because like to send this package because we send so many prizes to a lot of people. Like if you haven't been to a Con+ event yet, you will win prizes,
Yeah.
and it will be multiple.
Guaranteed.
You might not win a postal prize, but lots of people do. Like there's a lot of electronic prizes, and some people, of course, win huge prize bundles. If they stay with us for the whole con and engage with it all the way through, they will win lots of things. So yeah, like sending some of these boxes and like, sure, we can absolutely guarantee no postage damage. I mean, this is the first time we've had something in 2 years that's damaged. We do try to package things as good as
From
we
what
can.
people have said, yes, it's possible that there was damage somewhere, but we weren't told about
Well,
it.
true.
But yeah, it's minimal. We do it carefully. It's just that we're not an office full of people packing it all really neatly and carefully with all the facilities that we could
Yeah,
need.
we're trying to save money.
Yeah, we're using what we can, what we can get, and like I said, causing really massive queues and everybody hating us in the community.
Yeah.
But yes, you will definitely win prizes if you come to the con. And also, that's right, I was going to mention, for those of you who won the Hall of Fame, you are now on display on the website
Yes.
all year round.
I finally got around to taking the stuff off that I threw up very quickly when I realised I'd started this year's con without a "We're currently live" page. Oops.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
And then I kind of left it there because I'd broadcasted for 24 hours and got distracted by Prizefighter. Right.
Fuchs says, people on fire, this looks
Yes.
very ambitious. Yes, but you know that we're ambitious, Fuchs.
Yes, well, we've been ambitious with every year we've done the con, and we'll always, overcommit way too much to it. But yes, people catch on fire. I've done, basically, so the spells I've done the Chain Lightning, I've done Fireball.
Yep.
And I've done Thunder Wave, though we didn't really see that tonight.
And you got Colour Spray in the works.
Colour Spray it's actually in at the moment, but it's not ready. It's not good enough yet.
It looks a bit weird.
But my plan is 11 spells.
Okay.
And the reason it's 11, and I don't know why I'm holding at 10 fingers, I need to hold my nose up too.
There's the extra one.
Oh, thank you, yes. The reason it's 11 is because I have 11 different casting animations in my data set. So every time the wizard casts a spell, it will be a different animation. Because I'm a nerd. And like, there's loads of new, like you might have noticed during the fights, there were loads of new taunts. Like sometimes the two gladiators, they might like raise an arm, or there's a blowing the kiss, kind of just random taunts they do to each other and stuff, which is all new. So you're going to see some interesting combinations come out of the randomness of that, I hope.
I think there'll be lots of in-jokes caused with stuff like that.
And what I'm tempted to do, I might make gladiators have, well, because I've got, I think, 4 or 5 different walk animations and 3 or 4 run animations. So I want to assign those particular animations to certain gladiator personalities. So, because I really want the gladiators to feel, individual. And so animation is one way to do that. So there's like, whereas currently and last year, whenever a gladiator starts running, for example, it would just pick one of the random animations. But this year I want to say, no, you're that gladiator. That particular gladiator uses this animation. So with some of the battle emotes as well, I might give certain gladiators a preference for certain things. So yeah, that'll be sort of just give them a bit more individuality.
Nice.
And there won't be a visible stat for that as well. And it could impact their fight because if it's a long animation. It might not. So anyway, we'll see.
Anyway, we got up to Phil's question, but he also says it just keeps getting better. Yes, I know it does. It's amazing. So yeah, do wrecked chariots get in the way? Did you finish answering that question? I wasn't sure.
Well, I mean, I don't even know if with chariots. You've seen what I've got so
Just
far.
the one
It's the
chariot.
Circus Maximus with a chariot. So it doesn't yet exist. So I think they should. And like, certainly, nothing in the arena that I've got so far, nothing vanishes. Even the fireball continues to burn for a while. Even the partially finished colour spray, the little colour blobs kind of follow the person around. So I think I prefer things to kind of fade out naturally, and if I can, in some form correctly. The fireball was a hard one, for example, because that, I had this lovely floating fireball, but how to change that into a big explosion? You can go off and do secondary effects and do something completely different, which would look amazing, but I'm like, I've got to cram all this stuff in, so really I need to use the same thing because I can't have it running slow. I've got to get 200 gladiators on screen or something, I'm always thinking I've got to get as many gladiators on screen as possible. So I've got to reuse what I've got, which is a floating fireball, so it kind of does this kind of weird arc down to be a fire. So the same thing that's flying becomes the fire that burns.
Oops.
So, but yeah, no, I'd like gladiators to stay in the arena and the loose horses, and there's a good chance you could have a horse come loose on you and stuff, and it just wanders around and gets in the way and stuff, and maybe gets spooked and runs the wrong way or something. Who knows?
We have a bit more chat to get through, and I think after that we should move on to our next topic.
Yes.
Hello, Sue.
Hello.
You've given me an excuse to get out of a very boring conversation about cameras. Okay. I won't ask because it sounds boring. But thank you again for the fantastic Firefly game. You've really made me intrigued by the Scum and Villainy system, which in its original form I wasn't that chuffed with, but I'm going to look into it. So yeah, that was a really cool game. Although I do like Firefly a lot. Steve. Hello, Steve. You need to stick around for the next bit because you'll like this. But yes, we are all good, and late to the party doesn't matter. YouTube kind of sucks anyway. Fuke got their physical prizes, awesome. As did Michael B. Michael B is reading up on the Cyberpunk Code Red.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm looking forward to playing that.
I was
Cause,
jealous of that.
Well, Matt has got it, and he did say to me he is going to be running it.
Somebody we know was one of the prize winners of that, so hopefully they'll run it for us at some point.
Yeah. Fuke says, I feel like I won too much. I should up the amount I'm giving via Patreon. You shouldn't do anything. It's up to you. If you want to give anything or not, it's your choice.
Yeah, Patreon is
don't feel obligated to pay more because you got loads of prizes.
Yeah, but, you know, Patreon is a completely optional thing for people who support what we're doing to help us make it possible. Yeah. At the moment, we are projecting a shortfall for next year's con on shipping.
Yeah.
So we do need help. And
but,
you know, what will probably happen is I'll probably make up the difference myself. But at the moment, I'm in overdraft, so that's not going to happen.
But at the same time, we also don't want you hemorrhaging your own bank account for us.
No.
Because, seriously, we need to help each other.
But if you do go on a Patreon, we played a War of the Ring game.
Yes, that's very true.
And we told the story of it on the Patreon.
Yes. Are we still going to do a stream of that, by the way?
I don't know, because I just... As much as it sounds great, because our set does, you know, everything's painted and it looks amazing and everything else, and we've got all the cities, we've got models of all the cities, it'd be great to show that stuff. But ultimately, when we play a board game, there's a not insubstantial amount of it that is you going...
Well, yeah, especially for War of the Ring, there is a lot of thinking involved as to planning your next move.
And I just don't think that would be interesting.
No.
Like, originally I was really keen for it, because yes, we've got this great miniature stuff, but then I'm like, actually, it will mostly be 12 hours of us sat there.
Yeah, just...
I do tend to do my moves quite quickly most of the time, but even sometimes I do get flummoxed. But you know, most of the time I'm quite quick.
Yeah, but, you're crazy
you're
smart.
You're a normal human being, so...
Yeah, you're crazy smart and you plan like 4 moves in advance, whereas us normal people, I plan 1 or 2 in advance, usually, if I know what's going on. But then if something changes that I don't expect, I then have to rethink it and stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know if it would be good. I know it wouldn't be good footage. Which is why I went ahead and wrote rules for a mega game on it. Because I think secretly I want to do more stuff with this Middle Earth miniature set. You know, that I spent a year painting. But
R.I.P. Christopher Tolkien, by the way.
Yeah, Christopher Tolkien just died.
Yes.
Yeah, sad news.
A couple more. If I up the amount, says Fuke, it's only because you are awesome and deserve it. With the addition, I can afford it. If I couldn't afford it, I wouldn't give any amount. That's really good. But I have heard of, not necessarily with us, but people before being so dedicated to a public figure that they feel like, I really need to donate stuff to a Patreon. And, you know, that's not the case. If you can't afford it, then seriously don't donate anything.
Like, we are, well, not currently because I've overspent, but we are generally financially stable.
We're okay. Yeah, we're okay.
The con is a huge investment of time. It's for charity, and the postage just before Christmas cripples me.
Yeah.
It really crippled me on Con Plus One. And like this year, being able to use the Patreon money kind of saves Christmas for me. It meant I could buy Jason a tablet.
Thank
right?
you. Well,
you know,
I was quite surprised at that because seriously,
but
she spoils me.
I do, but it's my hope that you'll spoil me back. But but you know, we use the money that is given to us via Patreon not to live off. We don't do this professionally.
No.
We do this for charity. And, you know, whilst the money given on Patreon doesn't directly go to the charity, it kind of makes up for some of the money we spend on what we do to make all this possible. And, you know, it is a huge help. And yes, we are, as I say, we're projecting a shortfall, quite significant shortfall, unfortunately, for Con Plus 3. But you know, ultimately I'll probably just make that up, and we always have the option where we agreed it with the charity right from the beginning. We can take up to 25% of donation to cover shipping, but I don't want to do that. I want the kids to get the money. which is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you can afford it and help us do it, fantastic, thank you, and, you know, great. But another thing you can do and should consider is the donation link on Complas Live. Not only does it work all year, but you can set up a subscription payment. I have.
That's a good point, actually.
I give it £30 a month. You know, I might have to cancel it while I'm in overdraft, but yeah, I've done it for a year now, and I kind of want to keep going. So do consider that too, because whilst yes, we need help with the postage, and yes, it is short, but ultimately we do all of this to help a charity out. That is a very small charity, and you know. Anyway, I spoke for 24 hours on that charity in October. So
yes. So McRabbits says, "Hello, McRabbits. There were a lot of games they didn't play on tabletop for just that reason. It would have been 40-minute stretches of chin scratching and thinking, followed by 1 minute of piece moving. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We did do, was it Firefly we did one time?
Yeah, and you know, nobody watched it beyond the first 2 minutes.
But at the same time, that kind of game is okay because you just read what's on the card, you roll a dice. Whereas, you're right in that with things like War of the Ring, War of the Ring, there is a lot of thinking and planning and preempting and
but our setup looks amazing. It's great.
It does.
Really.
It looks nice.
It's incredible.
It looks nice. Ryan says,
we even have oh my god, Dol Amroth.
Yeah.
No.
So what about it?
Oh no, it's one of the cities. What are the bloody statues called? The things of
Oh
old.
crap! Can't remember.
In Emin Muir.
No, Amon Hen.
Amon Hen.
Emin Muir is the land of razor sharp rocks. It's the two men going.
Yes. What are they called? They have names. The
Argonath. Argonath. Okay.
Yes, we even have them on the board, and there's not even a space that get used.
I'm not that versed in
Thank
Lord
you.
of the
Yeah,
Rings.
Steve Ross just caught up with it.
Okay. So Ronnie says you could film a game of War of the Ring and then show the edited highlights along with some commentary.
Who wants to edit 10 hours of
could,
footage?
but I was going to say a bit more tactfully than that, but yeah, I was going to say we could, but editing 10 hours, have you tried editing 10 hours of footage?
Whatever you're editing, you've got to essentially, at least, if you work flat out on it, you've got to quadruple the length of your source footage.
Yeah. So
no matter the length of the final result.
No. Unless suddenly we don't have jobs. No, it's not the answer.
Oh god, I still have stuff to edit. Nah.
Oh right, I thought we were going to say something else from it. Fuchs says a person should only give if they can afford it. It's an awesome charity. Yes, it is an awesome charity.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
I am trying to get money as well from somewhere else as well to add to the pot. So fingers crossed that we get some more donations that way. Nathan H says, I'm quite happy to contribute and I don't think for a moment about how it's spent. I don't feel my Patreon is a donation. It feels more like a partnership.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really pleased about that because I think maybe first impression it feels like, yeah, well, you know,
we don't
money
give
to
an awful lot to our patrons.
No, we don't. We don't keep you updated every week. We don't give you exclusive footage like a lot of people do. We do what we can given how busy our lives are because it is. But you know, we're really we're really, you know, appreciative of how much you enjoy our content when we bring it out. Sorry to distract you all. You're not distracting me. If anything, I'm feeling the effects of this beer a little bit. Am I talking too much?
No, it's fine. I'm sitting here like actually dying for the loo. So
okay, shall I talk a bit?
You're probably going to catch up because I think
and then shall I talk about the next thing?
You can talk about. Do you want to do this bit first?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
That bit because there's a chance I'll be back for that bit, and
fine.
I'd like to be.
Okay.
But if I'm not, carry on.
Okay, I will do that. Yes.
Bathroom.
Bathroom. Talk ye to the hand. Well, they don't say ye in certainly the Lord of the Rings books or movies, so not talk ye to the hand. But if it,
Holding my hand up.
but no, if it was Lord of the Rings book extract, it would be talk ye to the hand, and then something else about the lore from 1,000 years ago. Excuse me. Nathan H says, I have an odd idea for an activity. If you ever needed a break from battle gaming, get one of those old choose your own adventure books. You're making it sound like, oh, those things we used to read when we were children. You're talking about these ones, yes? The fact that I've actually accrued a good few of these fighting fantasy books last year, because I had a goal in mind, thanks to a friend of mine, to do 12 books in the year, so one per month. In the end, didn't happen, unfortunately. I did get through a few while I was recovering from surgery, but basically I got not stuck on Scorpion Swamp, but to be honest, I got bored with it. I know a lot of people like this one, but it's very old school in that you're going from one clearing to another, and it just after Howl of the Werewolf, it was a bit kind of bland, and I accidentally read one of the big spoiler paragraphs as well, or like glanced at it, you know. But yes, definitely. But there are other game books I've got which are less old school, which there's a self-published one which I bought. I can't honestly remember the entire title, but it's something to do with demon something. And then there's also the Destiny Quest books. There are those. So yes, that's true. I could do one of those. And there is Neverland, I've just noticed on here, which is from Jonathan Green. So yes, there are many of these that I've not actually read yet. There are a couple of fighting fantasy books that I would like to try, like Return to Firetop Mountain, just because of the nostalgia effect thing. But yes, good form, Jason. Yes, absolutely. I was seriously about Indiana Jones. Oh right, I've not heard of that one. I did play a lot of game books when I was young. There was the Eye of the Tiger ones I also dipped my toe into. A bit of Lone Wolf, not loads, but I did do a couple of the books. So Flight from the Dark, and I think it was the fourth one as well. And less game book-y, but I also played the Usborne Adventures, where you had to kind of find the clue in the comic as to how to advance to the next bit. But yes. But the Indiana Jones one, no, I've not heard of. But I know there are a few game books that kind of tie into famous characters and stuff. But anyway, moving on after the slight digression. So Chaosium. Let's talk about Chaosium. So, a couple of things are in the wings, as it were, and one of them, which I'm talking about first because Becky's on the loo, is my own project, which I'm working on heavily at the moment. Like, if I wasn't doing this stream right now, I'd be doing this. But basically, I'm writing a scenario for the new 7th edition Gaslight book. I do not know when it's coming out, and I don't know anything about what it looks like or anything, so there's no point asking me any questions about that. But it is being worked on. In terms of how my scenario is going to be published, I'm not sure. Whether it's going to be standalone, whether it's going to be in like a module book thing like they did with Nameless Horrors, I don't know. But the point is, this has been in the works for a while. Mike Mason was very interested in me writing something, and when I pitched it to him, he was very excited. So now there is an official deadline. I've signed the contract, all that. So I should be opening another one to celebrate, really. But I'm really pleased, and it's a lot of work, but it's worth it because it's kind of a step in for me into freelancing. So whoop. But for those of you who are interested in Gaslight and looking forward to it, I hope you have a look at my game if you like. It certainly went down very well in its preliminary, very young form when I did it at the expo, but a lot of it's changed. I don't want to say what it is, but if you don't know what Gaslight is, it's basically the Victorian setting of Cthulhu, which is my favourite. 1920s, yeah, it's fine, but I don't know why, but I personally just do not like it as much as Victorian. There's something about the creepiness and the darkness and London and, you know, kind of Victorian England in general that I do prefer. I never got fully into kind of Arkham and Innsmouth and Boston and the American side of things.
Well, it's as British people, it's harder to relate to that.
Yeah, I suppose. Although I'm not very English, to be fair.
True.
But I suppose, yes, it's something I'm more familiar with, so maybe...
You've been to London, you've lived there.
Well, live near it, yeah. Certainly not in Victorian London. But also the whole thing of, like, the fish people and stuff in Innsmouth, it's just not been something I've been that into. I much prefer Gaslight, and also, incidentally, Hastur, I much prefer the stuff to do with Hastur compared to, say, Cthulhu and all that. But yes, that is in the works. Again, I don't know, unfortunately, when any of this is going to be coming out. If and when that stuff appears in public domain, I will let you all know, of course, if you're interested. But also, now that you're back, the other thing that kind of came out of the blue, actually, and it really made my day, was we have both been invited to an official Chaosium live stream campaign.
Yes, so, and it didn't feel like that was absolutely related to the fact that you're doing some writing for them, although I'm sure that did keep your mind front and centre. But in the first invite, they also invited me, so...
Well, that's what I'm saying. We were both invited.
Yeah.
I suppose because they know that we live stream games, or we're very much in that scene.
I obviously am a 3 times finalist of the Cthulhu
yes,
Masters.
Exactly. They know that, of course.
I've won it.
Yep. They both know that we're role players. So
now that is with, I believe there's somebody from Penny Arcade in that.
Don't you mean one of the people doing the tech?
Ah, they're there for tech.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good. But I was thinking about this, like, because their last live stream game had 6,500 views.
Yeah,
like,
their sort of Christmas one-shot thing.
Like, we don't know Chris Perkins. We're never going to get a bigger shot. So.
Well, Chris Perkins isn't in the campaign. But Mike is running it, and also Lynn Hardy, who's another big co-author of Chaosium stuff, is playing with us.
I thought it was Lynn from the Cthulhu Masters.
No, Lynn Hardy.
Different Lynn.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've not met this Lynn.
Okay.
Lynn is doing a lot of projects with Chaosium at the moment, one of which happens to be Gaslight. So that's really cool. And then there's somebody else, I've never met them before. Unfortunately, I can't remember their name at the top of my head. But yeah, it's going to be 4 of us in there. My character... Oh, actually, no, the setting is an interesting one. It's a Russian setting, 1920s Russia.
But let's not say too much about that, because it is... You tune in live. So if you need more POG now that we're not going to be doing the weekly streams... we will still be doing videos, don't panic, it's not the end of POG. Yeah. But if you missed that from earlier, just a quick recap. We've decided to go back to our older style of videos that take longer to produce, aren't so good for the YouTube algorithm, but they're much more fun to make, and we get, random comments when we wake up in the morning and stuff, and it's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are harder to make, so POG videos will become less frequent.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're interested in tuning into the Chaosium stuff, they said basically they're putting it on all their sites. I know that one of those is Twitch, so if you want the live one, go onto their Twitch page, which I believe is Chaosium Inc. I'm assuming they're going to upload it to YouTube, because that's what they normally do once the stream is over. In terms of other places, I'm not 100% sure where that is, but of course there'll be social media links and etc. etc. So yeah, feel free to join in and see us on Twitch. Doing that with them, which is going to be awesome. That's going to be like a 6-week affair, I think, from the start of February.
Okay.
We're doing like a test run tech rehearsal thing next week.
Yes.
But it is starting in February.
Which is next Monday, interfering with our normal game. Now,
yes, that's true, actually.
I'm actually curious about this, because like, if you're in a campaign at the moment, how about you give us a little, if you can, if you're up for it, give us a little summary in the chat now, and we'll talk a little bit about your current campaigns in a moment when we go back and recap on the chat. But we're doing a campaign at the moment over on our other channel. We do have 2 channels.
Do you mind if I nip to the loo while you talk about this?
Sure. I was hoping to include you in the conversation, but okay.
I'll come back, but I need the loo and also to refill water because my throat is...
Fair enough. So we're doing a a campaign over on Pog2. So we have basically what we found was people who liked our old style videos that we're going back to weren't necessarily the same audience that liked our live plays, because like we'd get subscribers and then we'd do a live play video and we get unsubscribers. Different things for different people. But if you do enjoy live plays, we do stream to Pog2. And the current campaign, which we won't be doing next Monday because we're doing the Chaosium tech test, but the current campaign is a corporation mixed with Osric. So if you don't know either of those systems, Osric is a fantasy RPG system that basically created the retro clone movement. So it was sort of a clone of first edition AD&D. And it was the first retro clone, and the whole kind of old school scene kind of grew up because of Osric. So we thought, let's actually use Osric as an MMO within the corporation setting, which is a cyberpunk corporate dystopian future. So as Ronnie just said, yeah, it's two campaigns in the same campaign, which I just thought was interesting. Yeah, I just thought it'd be interesting. So basically, the players, their characters are addicted to an MMO, like a massively multiplayer online computer game, and we play that with Osric, but then the characters also have lives, and we look at those lives through the mechanism of the corporation RPG, and it really is a nuts campaign. Definitely adult, because there are so many sexual references in that campaign. I really ought to flag the videos as over 18s only, because it's there is an incident where a Mallenbrock sort of riot police guy is killed by an improvised mortar firing dildos. But you know, that's just that was a thing. They were doing a they were on tricycles last week, courier delivery tricycles. So you imagine a tricycle with a big box on the back. Oh. And they tricycled their way through a porno being filmed. So this is absolutely NSFW. But
I think I did pretty well actually during that encounter.
You certainly diced amazingly. And weirdly for me, that was a session where I asked for a lot of dice rolls. But I think chases are something that kind of needs a lot of dice, because. And actually, maybe let's segue for a bit into chases for a moment. Because I was thinking about this. There are lots of systems that have rules on chases. I think actually, if I remember correctly, we spoke about this. Cthulhu has extensive rules on chases. But I kind of do chases my own way. I've seen a lot of chases that GMs have run where it's clear it's made up on the fly, and it's what they really need is a framework for their chase sequence that helps make it an encounter that's memorable.
Yeah.
So I think I'll just give some details now about the chase framework that I use.
Okay.
So I have my adversary 2 successes, if you like, in front of the players, and 3 successes is like long range. If they get 4 successes in front of the players, the players have lost the chase. So 3 successes is like long range, 2 successes in front of the player is medium range, and 1 success behind means they're in front but not close combat, not grabbable.
Yeah.
And then when they get to 0 successes ahead, that's when they're in amongst the players have caught them up. So I then present a series of obstacles. And these can be things you think up on the fly.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
On this particular occasion, I did think of them beforehand, a week beforehand, because of our game got postponed. But the whatever thing you can think of that interrupts with what they're doing. And it can be the most ridiculous, nonsensical thing. Like we said, we had the players cycling through the filming of a Star Wars porno, of all things, or Star Wars probably. Oh no, what was it? The Rise of Skywanker.
Yeah, The Rise of Skywanker. Yes. Ronnie's character fell into a load of lube on the floor.
Yes. And but that's the mechanics behind what I was doing. And all the little things I throw in. So that does mean that you can put quite a few dice rolls in. And you might I don't know. I've always kind of used these number of successes ahead.
Yeah.
And tied them to a range increment. But I mean, arguably you could reduce that if you wanted. But I've always sort of had like 4 successes in front means they're out of range. But I prefer to have that kind of to and fro mechanic rather than saying let's just have a drive roll and see if you catch them type thing. Or if you reduce it down too much to one dice roll or too few dice rolls, it then doesn't feel like a chase. It feels like a scene. And really, I think a chase, if you think about it, a chase is multiple mini scenes. Because you're moving.
It needs to have a variable.
Yeah, so a chase sequence changes environment constantly. So you can't describe each environment that you're in too much detail. Yes, describe, but you can't spend 10 minutes setting up a scene that you're going to spend 5 seconds of real time in.
Yeah.
So you're being quite terse with it. So you're setting up an obstacle, let the players dice that off, and then that changes whether they catch or fall back from your opponent. And you could, if you want, you can dice off what your adversary does, but I don't really think of it that way. I might throw something at you guys that the adversary doesn't even have to roll for, or it doesn't even impact them, because it's I don't know, a lorry comes out of a side turning and you got to, I don't know, get your bike down and slide underneath it or something. But it's something that impacts you. But if you succeed, you will, over the course of the narrative, end up closer because you succeeded that roll. If you fail, you'll end up a ranged unit behind.
Well, my advice is, if you're going on one of these delivery bikes and you come across a speed camera, throw a can of iron brew at it. And also, if you run into a Star Wars porno, just grab Jabba the... What do you call him?
Jabba the Slut.
Jabba the Slut's tail and just swing around him. And then you'll keep your momentum going. Because that worked. Whereas the others, the poor guys, the lube and crashing into things, and they fell quite far behind. I really thought I would fail at some point.
You didn't pass every roll, you failed 2, I believe.
I thought I failed just the one.
Well, it wasn't a roll, but you elected to wait under a bridge.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, because there were loads of
effect,
police cars coming down. I didn't want to get stuck in the middle of them and them going, "Oh, you're speeding."
Yes, it's a chase scene. It's obligatory to have lots of tumbling police cars.
Well, yeah, and because you were talking about how they're all crashing into each other, I'm quite pleased I didn't keep going.
It would have been a dice roll, but either way, the police cars were going to crash and tumble over each other, because Hollywood, seriously.
Well, I was more concerned
There's so
about
many
them
cliches in that.
stopping me and arresting me because I was speeding. Or because I vandalised the speed camera. I don't know. That was my main concern. I'm thinking, okay, I'll just stay under this bridge for a minute and then see what happens. Oh, look, they've all crashed into each other. Okay, that was lucky.
All right. Let's catch up on chat.
The chat.
And then we will talk about our last topic for the night.
Yes. So...
You know where we're up to, I have no idea. I wasn't in the room.
Not quite. We've gone a bit further up. Oh, yeah, here we go. People are talking about their campaigns.
Just so you know, with the new widget,
yes,
what we're seeing on the chat isn't what they're seeing. They're seeing...
Oh, okay. Right, fine. In that case, I'll go through it quite quickly. So... Fuchs says, I hope none of you have weather so cold you have an extreme cold warning like I do. No, because we're British. We have a very lukewarm warning, if at all. At some point we'll get flood warnings again, I imagine. We did have some quite bad floods. Not as personally, but there were some quite bad floods a month or so ago, up in the North Doncaster and stuff.
I missed that.
Yeah, it was really bad. People got very pissed off because Boris Johnson didn't turn up, and the usual.
We live on top of a hill.
Yeah, so normally we're okay, and we're quite far away from any kind of water source. So
it's like travel 30 odd miles, and we're at the point in Britain that is furthest from the coast.
Yeah, but at the minute it's sort of sitting at 5 or 6 degrees Celsius, so no freezing points, no ice, no snow. Yeah, so it's just very grey.
Let's move on. I know I'm British, you're Manx, but
I'm
there is a tendency to dwell on the weather.
Yes, because seriously,
you're an islander. I get it.
Yes.
No, come on.
But people are saying, "Congrats on the invite for the live stream. Can't wait to watch. That sounds good. Looking forward to watching. Good. Pleased to hear." Fuke is now starting to say, "Anyone have a game I can join?" I mean, time zones, obviously there's a big difference, but if you want to join in, I'm sure we can find a space for you.
If you want to take part in the corporation game, not averse to the idea.
No, not at all.
Do catch up though, or at least get familiar with the campaign.
Yes,
Make sure it's for you. Yeah. Make sure it's for you, because it is kind of different to most games.
It's very you. Sue says she's in Pathfinder and Coriolis campaigns at the moment.
What is Coriolis? Because Coriolis is the name of the space station in Elite.
Yes. So is it an Elite Dangerous campaign, I wonder?
Could be. It would be nice to see some love for Oliver Hume's game. I've never actually read the rulebook. But, as I've mentioned before, his idea of giving every player a spaceship is how sci-fi should be done. Make your combat encounters in space just like you do on land. Give every player agency. And that is something I definitely learned from Oliver Hume.
Ronnie is running 2 campaigns, which presumably are at your FLGS. High fantasy with Shinetar and classic steampunk fantasy with Castle Falkenstein, of course.
What your favourite sisters
your
there,
favourite.
Ronnie.
Well, I've never seen him run Shinetar before, but I've heard him talk about it a few times. I'm not sure what it is myself, but I'm inclined to say Shinetar because I've only heard it in a Scottish accent before. And I'm prepping a 3rd campaign for running for my friends Stephen and David, although I'm still wavering as to which system I'm going to use for it. Okay. Fuke says, I miss having an RPG game, really miss it. That
sucks, not having a game on.
Yeah.
Gives you so much more free time now. I can get prize fighter done if I'm not playing.
Ronnie says, current game we are playing on Mondays with Becky is hilarious and lots of fun and just great to play. Yes, I concur. It is great.
Thank you, guys.
Nathan says, I hear you, Fuke. Happily, I found 3 great players and we're 2 months into a great homebrew campaign. If I had off Mondays running, I'd be begging to join. I end up playing 6 PM PST on Tuesday nights. So that's like midnight the next day for us, I guess. No, actually, no. It's more 1 a.m.
Yeah, that's Pacific. The point at which I'm keeping you up snoring.
Yes, well. Phil says he's currently playing in Becky's Corporation game, a Warhammer game on Tuesday. Ooh, okay. And Pathfinder on Thursday.
See, lots of Pathfinder, more than I expected.
Yeah, well, new edition, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Phil says Steve says it was shot in a million for sure. This is the part where we lose the context because we're so far behind. Ryan says, fell into lube, it was a slick move. If anything, it was very sticky rather than slick.
It wasn't sticky, it was lube.
You definitely said it was sticky because I asked you, was it water-based lube or was it something else? You said, oh, it's silicone.
Yeah.
So sticky, quite sticky.
Yeah, I was thinking specifically KY. The kind of lube used by old ladies.
Yeah. Fuke says, isn't all of the UK more or less an island? Yes, but I come from a much smaller island, so it is literally an island.
So an American might call me an islander. I call Jason an islander.
Well, I am an islander.
Yes.
I come from an actual island, whereas...
A tiny one. A little blip on a map.
The UK is made up of islands...
Yes,
but they are very, very big.
Right. If you were to sneeze at your phone whilst looking at a map of the UK, you might not be able to see the Isle of Man anymore because you're it's that small on the map, you might have sneezed the distortion bubble. I don't know why I interrupted you to say that.
Well, I was trying to think of an analogy. But essentially it's like this glass. If you think of the whole glass as the UK, so it's big, and then there's the ice inside, which is
Isle of Man's
the Isle
not
of
that
Man.
big. That's more Wales.
Not to scale.
You're more of one of the bubbles in my beer.
No, it's not that small.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
In relation to the rest,
No,
yes,
no, it's not.
absolutely.
But the
Look,
point is, it's
yes.
more kind of like the island you get in like a story
we have
where there's
cities
not that
bigger
much
than the Isle of Man.
there. Yeah. Population of where we are is bigger than the whole population of the Isle of Man. So there you go. But anyway, right. So Steve says got Elite Dangerous RPG and all supplements. Will be looking into running something soon. Steve says Coriolis is like a cross between Firefly and Arabian Nights. Okay. That's a fusion I didn't think would happen. That's interesting. Okay. Steve says, I watched the Pog 2 Corporation game. We know.
Yes, our loyal viewer.
Our loyal viewer. Really enjoying it. Hopefully you're not going to, what was it, get any kind
Aneurysm.
Aneurysm or...
Yes. We briefly had a second viewer.
Oh
They
yeah.
died.
Also, I hope that was it your ribs have recovered as well. He said his ribs were hurting or something, or his stomach. One of those two. So yes, we don't claim any responsibility for any pain caused by laughing too hard,
Yes, or personal injury is
or trauma from freaking out too much.
Yeah, speak to your lawyer. Get them to talk to YouTube. Nothing to do with us.
And Fuke finally says Newfoundland Island versus Prince Edward Island. Got it. I don't know the size of those, but presumably yes.
Well, Noof is massive.
Well, yes, I know, but yes.
And I haven't heard of Prince Edward, so... Well, no, I've heard of Prince Edward, but...
Colonial. I've met Prince Edward twice.
Is he the Ginge one?
No.
Okay. Which one's Edward?
He's getting on a bit now. His wife is the Duchess of Cambridge. Looks a bit nonplussed.
What, Anne?
Don't know. I know what she looks like. He likes classical music. Like Allegri. But yeah, anyway.
I don't know. Royal family doesn't interest me much.
No, it doesn't me either.
Right. So Steve says, yeah, sore ribs from laughing. So yeah, it's a good fun cafe. Like I would say if you don't watch it
You
live,
mean Steve?
I did say that, didn't I?
I thought it said Sue. Sue, Steve. Similar names.
Begins with an S. Well, it's because I read his name in a Scottish accent, so I can't understand it.
Wow.
You'll get that reference if you watch
Yeah.
the campaign. Watch the first episode. It's so
Fuchs
good.
says now I'm doubting if PEI is Prince Edward Island or if the province has a different name.
I don't know. Somewhere in
My
Canada.
Canadian geography isn't great, E.
Sorry.
So, our next topic
Is outside influences.
Yes.
Right.
The Deus Ex
So,
dilemma.
well, there's lots of different ways of looking at this. So, really, in a broader sense, what I wanted to look at when we were talking about this before the stream, moments before the stream, so this is really well planned. See, on the one hand, what?
We didn't really plan this bit, but
We didn't at all.
no.
We normally just come up with topics and then
Yeah,
go, oh,
and
let's
then
talk about that and see how far it goes. And then if we run out, we end. So, right, if you're doing a horror game, one of the things you do in horror, I think, is you restrict access to the outside. It's one of the reasons why haunted houses work so well. If you keep the players in a small environment, you can keep them feeling claustrophobic. And even if you're not going for claustrophobia, the moment if the players have access to the outside world, they've got access to help. So in order to have a sense of horror, you have to disconnect the player from the world at large, from safety. So you create usually a small environment works better for horror. Like whenever you watch a horror film, you'll notice that it's always contained. Like you watch a Saw movie, all 6 of them are in a small space.
Yeah.
You watch the one with the Grim Reaper chasing people because they cheated death. They got the whole bridge scene and stuff, and it's more of a comedy.
What Scary Movie?
No, not that one. That is a comedy. Is it? Oh, I've not actually watched it, but I've seen some of the sequences of it. But the point is, horror where you've got where if you can pick up the phone and call someone and everything will be okay, that's not horror. So to really get a horror vibe, you have to isolate the players, and that is a complete contrast to doing horror in an environment where they have access to things they can call on.
Yeah, yeah.
And that creates interesting problems when you're GMing a game like Cthulhu, or indeed writing a module for Cthulhu in the middle of London.
Yes, which is what I'm doing.
London's got like every resource available. You know, you're always, especially if your adventure is told over time.
Yes.
You can't then isolate the players in a contained space.
No. Or in the case of this game I played in on a sort of local games day, it was open space, but it was in the middle of nowhere. And we did a lot of meta talk beforehand because it was kind of like a version of Fiasco or some like variation. And part of it was, okay, you're in the middle of nowhere, you can't call upon big police or army forces to come. If some problem happens, you fix it yourself. So it's like, okay. But yes, in places like London, if there's horror, which it does happen because there's plenty of Cthulhu Gaslight that's in London or other big cities, it's like, yeah, how do you either contain or create this feeling of horror even though there's so much available, supposedly, at your disposal? Yeah,
and I think fundamentally the way Call of Cthulhu traditionally deals with that is by creating a threat that's so large that calling on the army doesn't help. Like if you put it in the War of the Worlds context, for example, you imagine War of the Worlds, and part of the principle of H.G. Wells' story there is that you've got this proud empire that goes off and deals very arrogantly with its colonial holdings like they're nothing.
Yeah.
And what H.G. Wells did is he said, okay, now let's show the Empire being treated exactly the same by something else infinitely more powerful, in this case, Martians. And it's one of the reasons I love War of the Worlds. It's kind of this great humbling of a great empire. And so the Cthulhu answer, I think, to unlimited resources is to make the unlimited resources irrelevant.
Yes.
But we've all played that game, where you can't call on the army, and you can't call on the police, and you can't call on the fire service or any other resource to help, because it's about this. It's artillery won't help you, and there are so many adventures like that I can't help but wonder if maybe we should say, okay, the army can be called in, but it does this. How do you take horror and say this is horror, but you can call on these resources and it will help, but still keep it horror?
Yeah, I mean, with London, for example, and with things like Gaslight, which is, it's not just 19th century or Victorian, it's late Victorian, so lots of progression and inventions like the telephone and technological advances and stuff, so it's very kind of almost outward reaching and extravagant and look at this place as this epicenter of aperture and stuff. Certainly the way I would do it and the way I am doing it is by introducing something that is so different to technological advances that, yes, they can call stuff in, but will they be able to fight it?
Yeah.
If
it's
so, they have to think differently.
Yeah, it's the making the army irrelevant approach, and that, I mean, that is the kind of Cthulhu mindset, and I think as a GM, you need to be aware of the differences in these approaches.
Yeah, definitely, because it doesn't always work in horror to do it that kind of outward-looking epic level thing, and even in Cthulhu, depending on the kind of monsters you want in there. Yes, a great old one is very kind of bold and whatever, and everybody knows what it is. If you're thinking of something more subtle, like a smaller monster, or maybe even like an illness that's going around, you want to play it very, very differently. It's the whole thing of, do you close things in or do you open it out?
Or maybe the answer is to make the players, those who are called in for help, because make it their job, in essence, to solve. It's like you are the specialist. Because I can't see another way to do it. If at the end of the day, if the players can call on help, and that help is effective, then there's no adventure there.
Yeah.
And that's one of the beautiful uses of, and like as a GM, be mindful of the power of the haunted house. So locking the players in a room or in a confined environment that's under the control of the adventure. You were saying you did the horror game on an open moors and you were isolated.
There wasn't open moors. It was a town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, middle of nowhere.
Our main aim was there was no connecting railroad to our town. Well, it wasn't my town because I was a stranger, so I came in from outside. But the people wanted to create like a train stop so more people would visit. So it was very out in the sticks and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was essentially enclosed, but the other way around.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. You need to create a finite environment to let the players feel like they've explored it all. This creeping doom is coming, and I can't call for help. That's the important thing, is removing that ability, because you've got to do horror. You've got to take away the safety nets, and that's the important thing to understand. Whether you're doing it in an environment like London or whether you're doing it in the traditional haunted house, the haunted house works for a reason, and that reason is whenever you watch one of those old Hammer horror films with the haunted house type thing, the phone is always cut off.
Yeah, always. Or you can't radio into somewhere.
Yeah, and that's the point. It has to be that way, or it's not horror.
Yeah, with the scenario around last year at the Masters, you were firstly fairly closed off because you were on a moor in Devon, essentially. But then, there was a flood later on. So when you wake up like the next day and, the phones aren't working or something, so it gets even more like you can't go anywhere now. So you can't just run away or get help.
Yeah.
You can't cross the bridge out because it's all flooded.
Because part of horror is that you have to face the fear. And if you're not doing that as part of your adventure, are you really telling horror? You've got to face the fear.
Yeah.
So let's have a little look at the chat and see what other people think.
Well, I've been glancing and I've been feeling a bit of horror for Fiuk because I think Fiuk is going to be going off to work in minus 40 degree. Well, I was going to say heat, but temperature.
Minus 40 degrees.
Yeah, Celsius.
But at that temperature, everything contracts down to really tiny sizes, and Fiuk will be little miniature, and that is essentially horror. I do remember, actually, no, that reminds me, one of the greatest horror sessions I had was...
Well, that was a brief catch up.
We'll come back to it. Was your opening session of your...
Yes.
What was the campaign called?
It was called Dreams of a Bygone Age.
Dreams of a Bygone Age. Now, I don't know, it was kind of end of character gen. You did that little intro, and that led into this first session. That was just amazing because it was the first time I'd ever come across a Cthulhu monster that was a weather phenomenon. Which was just brilliant, because how do you escape a storm where you get in a car and you turned it into a chase sequence? And it was epic. That session was amazing. Later on, it became, people in suits and the Yellow King and stuff, and it was Cthulhu. But that first session stands head and shoulders kind of above. What? You're looking at me like a mixture of pride and contempt. What?
Yeah, because I hope that you liked the rest of the campaign anyway.
Oh, I did. Enjoyed it, but it was regular Cthulhu. That opening session was a mark of genius.
But thank you.
You can't do that in every session because
this is what I was about to say. In that, I wanted to create an impression of there's terrifying shit in the world that you can't explain. And as you slowly work it out, it's like, well, I'm very much, even though Cthulhu is a thing of, yes, everybody dies and you go mad, I prefer at least most of the players to survive and have those memories and be traumatized.
Actually, I have to say, the best Cthulhu games I've played, you do survive and you aren't mad, because I think it's so generic to either die in Cthulhu or to... your sanity's gone and you wake up in a sanitarium. Yeah. And I like those endings with a real twist. The Cthulhu Masters game where I won, the final, the year I took the title. The ending of that was actually the reason I won. Because through the game, I don't think I stood out apart from anyone else. So there were some great players in that game. But the ending, I put such a twist on it. What the GM did is that he asked us to all give a little kind of if you like, monologue of you 6 months after this. And we were all at the start of it, we're all escaped prisoners and stuff, and that was the premise. And some had gone back to prison, some had run away, and all this kind of stuff. But I took all the different elements of the adventure and I twisted it and made it all so much more messed up. And it was this storytelling twist that kind of just changed the whole nature of everything that had just happened into a question mark. And that's where real horror is. It's that uncertainty.
Yes, I do like question marks, and I did it with my Shadows of Esteren game as well, in that whilst the PCs survived, they had survived a horror which was kind of like it was called the Phaon. They'd survived that, but in terms of this famine that had swept the known continent, that was something they'd have to kind of overcome themselves in just, non-storytelling. So it was a sort of open-ended thing of, are they going to survive and stuff? We don't know. But what I was going to say about my storm thing, or hurricane thing, is the problem you have as a GM is, how on earth can PCs compete against a hurricane? The answer is they can't.
Yeah.
So I really wanted, when I first thought of the idea of my concept with 1980s Cthulhu, to do at least one encounter with a hurricane. So you're kind of cowering in a building, or you're trying to drive away from it in a car, that kind of thing. And I thought that'd be brilliant. Really exciting. But it's an effect of something killable or something that you can destroy, and essentially that was the Yellow King. And that's what I wanted, because again, it's like you can't kill a storm.
No.
So how on earth do you run a game where the enemy is weather?
Yeah,
you can't.
And that was, one of the beautiful things about Cthulhu, and one of the reasons it works so well, is really before you understand it. It's true. It's like when you watch a TV series, and it could be absolutely great, and you're really enjoying it, and you tune in for the second season, and you're like, yay, more of the same, and then it gets to typically I find around the third season, when you're watching something, you're like, this show has disappeared up its own universe. It's become implausible, and it's when you start to piece all the pieces together, like Witcher first season. took me 3 episodes to realise this story was being told out of time. Like, it wasn't sequential in time. I think 3. I mean, don't quote me on this if you know the episodes better than I do. But
apparently they're doing the next season more linear.
yeah, now it's going to go linear, which means a fundamental part of its storytelling has now changed.
Gone. Yeah.
It's gone. So this question mark is now known and answered, and those uncertainties are resolved. And that, for horror, is a problem.
Yes. I mean, Witcher isn't horror, bear in mind.
No,
Not
but
really.
you know, that's going to significantly change the intrigue, and I guarantee you, season 2 will not be as well received.
Yeah.
Because you've now massively changed the way you're telling the story, and with horror in particular, and that question mark is so vital, because what I did with going back to that Cthulhu Masters final is I left the players, and I was the last person to give my sort of summary, but I left the players wondering, like, all these elements, it turns out actually my character might well have been a really dangerous psychopath, and we might well, it could have been interpreted so many ways. We might have just been me acting out my fantasies during that whole adventure. We might not have. It might have been that I really am just that, messed up. But was I even in that adventure? And it left so many question marks, and that's why I won the title that year. And shame that in future years I've been shit. But I got to the final at least. But that was great horror, because it's about that question mark. So you've got to remove, and we've ended up talking more about horror than the difference between, but anyway, but you've got to remove the safety nets, remove the lifelines. There's no call a friend, there's no 50-50, and there's no, what's the other one?
Phone a friend, 50-50, ask the audience.
Ask the audience, yeah. You've got to get rid of that. Or if you get rid of it, make it ineffectual. That's the other Cthulhu approach to it. And you've got to leave uncertainty, or at least the uncertainties are only resolved in the ending. Because if you get to a point in your campaign where the players understand what's going on and they know what they've got to do and they're making plans and taking action, that's the time to do your final episode. You've reached the end.
Yeah.
And that's my tip.
Yeah. With the question marks I very much agree, yes. Like I said, I love doing question marks with horror. Usually it's not kind of active questions like yours where it's like, wait, did this really happen? Or da, da, da. Sometimes I do. Other times they're like with Shadows of Estrim, and with a lot of Cthulhu stuff, I want to at least have this feeling in people's minds of, okay, we've killed the baddie, or we've done this thing, but I don't feel satisfied. I feel like I've only just managed to survive. What's going to happen next, type thing.
I think it's okay to run a Cthulhu or horror adventure where the players figure everything out.
Yeah.
But the point is, the moment the players understand what's going on, they can take control. Right? They start making plans, and and how to deal with this evil. That means that storyline has ended. That's no longer horror. And it's okay to have that ending and give the players a satisfactory conclusion if that's what everyone wants, or just if you want to end that way, that's fine. But it means the horror has ended. If your players are planning on how to deal with what you're throwing at them, that's the end of the horror is finished. Time to finish the campaign in your big bad fight. Game over. And it is fine to end that way. It doesn't have to end with a question mark. But you're no longer in the realms of, like, when you start watching Breaking Bad and what the hell is going on, and Jesus, this guy's messed up, and you start to understand, okay, this is predictable now. He's a character that is going to do these actions, and actually he just loves what he's doing.
Well, here's a question for you then. Obviously, as I've said before, my adventure now is very different from when I ran it for you. and the others, of course, at the expo. But even though it was in a sense of, okay, it's London, you could get help and stuff, you worked out what the problem was, and there was like a big boss fight at the end almost. How did you feel with that? Did it still feel like horror at that point, or did it feel like something else?
It
I know, I appreciate it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I do remember enjoying the session. It's really hard to give specific answers because it was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And actually, it was when we very first met in person. It was the first time we met. But
so obviously you were infatuated with love and stuff.
Yeah, you know, I had flirting to do and stuff. But and you know, then feeling bad about being rejected, even though you hadn't rejected me. It's just that I thought you would anyway, so why try? And all these other emotions. But anyway, before all that, I don't remember ever feeling scared in the session.
No.
Like any session, whenever you start any convention game, you don't really know the adventure at the start, and then it's like, oh, things are becoming apparent. So it felt like, did it feel particularly horror? No. It could have been, I could have been playing a Star Wars game in terms of the horror aspects, because I didn't know stuff, but I learnt stuff during the course of the game. It's a convention game, it's 4 hours, blah, 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 blah. Did I have a good time? Oh, it was amazing. I really loved it. You had props, and you know, there were bits we were going under the table using ultraviolet lights. It was great. Had a great time. It was a great adventure. Was it horror in a convention 4-hour window? No. Maybe it, you know, it had those themes and those trimmings, but did I ever, you know, did I feel like I couldn't call on the police? We had a policeman with us, I believe, in that running.
Yeah, but say, I know you wanted to bring in
he arrested me.
He did, yes. He did arrest you. But what I'm trying to gauge is with that final confrontation, which what I wanted it to be was you're staring the horror in the face.
Yeah, well, you have to bear in mind that for me, the final encounter was actually the encounter before, because I got arrested.
That's
and I
true.
spent the final
That's
encounter
true.
in prison.
That's true.
And consequently, I was one of the last people on Earth to die.
Whereas everybody else, they kind of, I believe one person burnt to death, and somebody else. It was really quite like, I tried to make it horror, but in the face, which is very different from what you're saying with horror, in that it needs to be kind of this dark, uncertain thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, because it's about how a player reacts. We are so desensitized, especially in an RPG setting. We're so desensitized to violence that a lot of people consider good role playing to be a new and interesting way to describe how you kill someone. With, you know, wait a minute, you're talking about killing someone.
Yeah.
Right? It might have been an orc or whatever, but you just slice that person in two, and you're just thinking of colourful ways to decorate the wording.
That's very true, actually.
You know, what is true horror here? And
we could do a video on that.
I could do, but you know, and there is something to be said for doing a fantasy game where players are, oh my god, you just killed that guy, you know, but to do that character in a group that's not ready for it is, you know, not good. Anyway, where was I saying before the beer made me forget? No, seriously, what was I saying before the beer made me forget?
I was saying about horror being in your face.
Yeah, and we're so desensitized to that it isn't actually horror, especially in a medium like you're dealing quite often with people who've been at the table a number of years role playing. You know, unless it's your first game ever, in which case every bloody dice roll is going to be fantastic and scary. You're dealing with people who are used to this level of creepiness, and so you can't satisfy, I think, a horror urge by describing what is essentially gore.
No.
Like, to say to a character you've been burnt alive and that's how your session ends, yeah, sure, it's a horrific way to go. And it might even provide a nice narrative closing loop.
Mm-hmm.
But it isn't scary unless that player... I mean, in fact, it isn't even scary if the player has been avoiding fire the whole session and playing a character who's scared of fire.
Mm.
I don't know what that would be, a flamophobe or something. But
Pyrophobe, surely.
yeah, probably. Good call, Mr. High Intellect. But the yeah, go on, next one. I don't think, it's hard to genuinely scare a player in horror.
Yes.
And we did do a video on this before, actually, a long time ago, where we dealt in some of the techniques you can use as a GM. Feel free to Google it. It's How to GM Horror, or is it How to GM Horror Stories? I forget the title of the video. But
yeah.
I don't think it's possible to gore someone. To describe gore and that to be horror.
No. Well, with psychological horror, you've got the one that you describe, which is it's very dark and creepy, and things are happening without you quite realizing. There's lots of uncertainty. Another way you can do it, which I've done some stuff before, is that you let the players find out stuff, but then they realise they have no time to implement them.
Leave them feeling powerless.
Yeah, exactly.
Because feeling of powerlessness or hopelessness is a good horror tool.
Yeah, and I find that works particularly well if they know what the answer is, but they can't deliver it, as opposed to, oh, I'm trapped or stuck in this place and I don't know how to get out type thing.
Because I often, as a player, if I find myself in the situation where I've worked something out, it can be frustrating, especially if the thing that stops you from solving something is another player. And
I mean, I don't do it in a way that
just be frustrating.
I don't do it in a way that say if you knew the whole outcome of the adventure, I wouldn't stop you from at least trying to do it. I'm thinking more as you work bits out.
There's many adventures I can think of where I knew what we needed to do before the end, but I needed the rest of the party to kind of catch up because I'd figured something out, whatever the crux was. And that's happened a few times. Often, actually, not always in horror games.
No.
But I think if the moment you completely figure something out like that, and it's usually near the end, in fairness, but I think the moment you do, like I said earlier in the stream, you're ready for the end of the campaign. And you just need to help those other players catch up so you can have your final resolution, whatever form that takes. And, horror isn't all about the ending. Oftentimes, the process of getting to the ending is more of the campaign, right? And I think, a lot of our discussion here, we've talked about, do you leave a question mark or not? And stuff, and I think that's not so important. The important thing is to have the question marks through the campaign, and that feeling of uncertainty. And how do you make someone feel hopeless in a campaign where they've got 6 sessions to go, and yet
it's very
still
different
want
in a
them
campaign.
to contribute to the campaign? They've always got to have that strand of hope, and that's important, because the moment you take hope away and it's completely utterly devoid of any chance of solving the issue, then you may as well stop playing.
Yeah.
Because you've given up hope.
Yeah. Well, with my campaign, for example, obviously the first session was crazy, and I know you guys really enjoyed that, but also you were fighting against something so powerful there's no way you could beat it, or trying to escape from it. But then I slowly got you more in tune with, the mythos, as it were, in layman's terms, and that gave you that sense of power as, you can take this on, but then things got trickier and harder, and it's can you actually do it, or have you just dabbled in something that you shouldn't be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I liked some of that you kept question marks there throughout, there was these artifacts.
Yeah.
That we could do things with, but we never fully understood them.
No, and that was the point.
You gave
was the
us
point.
tools that were clearly meant for the final resolution in some way. And I remember trying to channel, what was it, a globe of some kind in your 80s Cthulhu campaign?
There was like an orb
thing. Something along those
It
lines.
is an official artifact. I just can't remember what it is. It's like a
Okay.
MyGo thing.
Okay. So yeah, and I remember interacting with this thing, but I'm not learning about it by doing the D&D thing of 8 hours of attunement
Yes,
or
exactly.
casting Identify.
Mm.
I'm having to experiment, and when it goes wrong, I found myself on Carcosa.
Yes. Just a little problem there.
And so those are the kind of things you can do where you give the question mark, and it becomes harder when the players have tool sets to deal with things. But it's in some ways it's the voyage of discovery. It's exploration,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got to be exploration with the threat of death, and that I think is the real difference between horror and something like D&D.
And in the end, you did go back to Carcosa.
But it was deliberate the second
It
time.
was deliberate, yes. But I knew at some point, they're definitely going to go back. And
I need to go to the loo.
Okay.
But I was just thinking, we should hear what people are saying about this whole horror conversation we've had.
Yes.
I will listen
and
in from the
stop
loo.
ignoring them, yes.
Yes, I will listen in from the loo, and then I'll come back and rejoin you in a moment.
Yes. Okay. So. Nathan H. Oh, hello, Wild Pix. Nice to see you again. Okay, so I know that you guys aren't seeing this. Sorry, I shouldn't say you guys, you people. Somebody said, I think it was Ronnie, said it's not 40 degrees C, but it's 40 degrees F. I'm sure I saw 40 degrees C somewhere. Yeah, don't want to walk to work. It's 33 degrees C outside. Yeah, because Canada use Celsius. So, seriously, it's ridiculously cold. I would definitely not go to work. I wouldn't go to work if it was like -5 and there was enough snow. So, seriously. So, if you are watching this later, Fiuk, then hopefully you're okay and you're not being exploited by capitalism and your job and stuff. But anyway, Wildpix, I am Canadian. No mosquitoes at -40. As long as it's not windy, it can be a nice day, I'm sure. I know that Canada is very pleasant in a lot of places, and I did at one point sort of consider moving there. My last Cthulhu game, both players died. Wasn't the plan, just kind of happened? Yeah, I mean, with a lot of Cthulhu games and a lot of other kind of horror-orientated games, if you're just playing by the stats and the rolls, especially things like San, then yeah, people are going to die. People are going to go mad. People are going to get, what's it called? Ongoing madness type thing where they are mad for at least a week or something, and therefore they have to kind of go to an asylum. There's even a bit in Warhammer of that kind of thing. I don't know if you covered this earlier, but when running a horror game, make sure you check with your players before the game to identity boundaries. Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't touch on this at all, really. The whole thing of checking boundaries, X cards and stuff. We did have X cards in the game I talked about earlier, but in the end we didn't use them. The only time I kind of jokingly pointed at one was because somebody started talking about sort of sex jokes and being really cringy, but there was no official need for them. But yeah, absolutely. So in horror especially, I would say things like Cult that are very adulty and 18 plus, then yeah, absolutely make sure you're talking to your group about what kind of things are okay with them.
I think these days, though, a session 0 is pretty much a given. And
And
one of the
definitely.
things I always put in a session 0 is, what kind of games do you guys want?
Yeah, not
You know,
just here's a game
it's
that
like-
I've thought of.
Like,
It's
yeah,
more,
and
what
that
do you
is,
want?
that's kind of an older way of doing it now. This whole, I've thought of this storyline or I've thought of this plot.
I have
I've very
thought of
much-
this 30-page tome of
Yeah.
the world, and
Like,
I am so proud of it.
When we
No.
started our last game,
Yes.
and it could very well have been not D&D. Like, we didn't even know what
Oh,
session.
as in Phil's game.
Yeah, no, the real life game.
Oh, right, yeah.
That we do periodically. That Sue, who was on earlier, has been in 2 of the 3 sessions.
Yes.
But I didn't know what the players wanted to play at the start. What I remember saying was, at the start, like, I kind of wouldn't mind doing a sequel to Brawlers, the Brawlers campaign. I wouldn't mind doing some cooperation with you guys. But I'm open to ideas on what you guys want to do as well. And then we had a discussion and we decided during that okay, I'd GM and I would GM an epic themed D&D sequel to Brawlers.
Yes.
It was one of the things I'd suggested, but I didn't go there with one game idea.
No.
And that, for me, Session Zero kind of is that. Now, our online group, we alternate GM, so we know who the GM's going to be.
Yeah.
And therefore, that, carries with it certain implications of style or tone to an extent.
Yeah.
But, like, when we started our last campaign, there was still the choice. Like, look, we can do a corporation in the style of the last one. You really enjoyed it. We can do that again. Or I could run AFA, and so even then I didn't know what system. I just knew that I'd be the GM. And I think if you bring that to your Session Zero, you will get a lot more buy-in because you're having a discussion, an interaction with your players about what even the rule set you're going to use is. I don't design the game before Session Zero. That's, I think, the important point there.
But obviously with the convention, it's very different in that apart from the blurb that you read before joining the game, you don't know anything about it unless you know the GM possibly. So yes, you've got things like X cards you can use, and there are certain things that people do not want in a game or things that people can cope with. I've never used X cards specifically, but with any kind of Cthulhu game, for example, I always just kind of give a disclaimer to people of, if it's not comfortable for you at any given point, just say, and we can move on to the next scene or change it a bit, or if you need to leave the table, that's fine. But that's never ever happened in a game of mine.
That's a very polite way of saying, "or you can fuck off."
Well, no, it's not that,
I
but
think it has happened.
it has happened. But what I mean is, yeah, absolutely. I wasn't meaning it like that specifically, but I was thinking more if someone is so overwhelmed that they need to leave and step away for a bit. That's what I mean. Then they can, just say and we can change it. But yeah, there was one instance which was nothing to do with horror at all, where this guy who he'd obviously never played a role playing game before. He didn't get that it was cooperative, so he started trying to attack one of the characters. He was very against the occult in any way, even though it was a Pulp Fiction Center of the Earth game, which, if you play that kind of stuff before, there's at least some kind of occult stuff in there. You've got all the Nazi occult stuff, you've got Atlanteans, Amazonians and stuff.
It's Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's Indiana Jones. There's going to be sort of occultism in there, but no.
Slash Jules Verne.
Yeah, he couldn't cope with that and eventually had to leave. And it's like, okay, then bye. And with that kind of thing, you couldn't really do anything about it because it's like, well, it's obviously something that you genuinely don't agree with, so okay, if you want to leave, then leave. But what I meant was that if someone was enjoying the game but became uncomfortable with something so much that they had to step away, then I was kind of giving them that thing of that's fine.
Yeah,
but
I think convention games are kind of different because you're almost like you're obligated at an almost staff level. You are a sort of an employee whose job it is to entertain these people for 4 hours.
Well, yes, exactly. And the thing is about a convention, lots of people go there. Anybody essentially can get overwhelmed.
You don't have that Session Zero, and I think that's why X Card absolutely has a place at conventions.
Yeah.
I mean, X Cards have a place really at every gaming table already, in the sense that your friends will speak up if they go, "Look, guys, this isn't what the adventure will want."
Yeah. And
either the campaign gets derailed or the GM's mature enough to work around that conversation and go, "Okay, let's." So X-Cards has always kind of existed in a kind of non-verbal contract.
Yeah, the difference with X-Cards...
the convention, I think it gives you that tool for people you don't
It's
know.
not even just a tool. It's a way of saying I don't want any more of this without even asking questions, and it's acceptable.
Yeah, and lets you carry on at the table. And I think it absolutely has a place at a convention game, because you haven't got that, like, as I say, your friends will speak up, but at a convention game, you're kind of your job is to entertain these people, and they need the ability to say no.
Indeed. So anyway, Steve says, which was a screw up for normies, I think that says. I found it a bit bland, to be honest. Yeah, we were complaining about some of the scenes, like Hollywood-y scenes, and the whole having sex and then having an argument is... Yeah.
Oh, God, that's so Hollywood, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
When we argue, I don't screw you.
Well, no.
It's the last thing I'm going to do. But Hollywood seems to love that trope.
No. I had the same problem, says Wild Pix, with Altered Carbon. Took a few episodes to figure out what was going on. We watched one, and we were like, what is going on? So
I was willing to give it a bit more, but I think you were kind of like, no, I'm not enjoying this at all. So it was like, okay.
It was really long, and like, no. Anyway, Nathan says, I gotta say, I always look forward to Fridays. The only other duo I enjoy listening to more than Jason and Becky are Statler and Waldorf.
Really?
We're
like a couple of old gits on the sofa.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Someone should create a campaign around Statler and Waldorf. Maybe. Maybe not.
So I've just started working out the system in my head.
Oh,
so,
God.
your stats are semi-negative. So you've got grumpiness.
Statler.
Yeah. Your statlers are semi-negative. So
don't forget
grumpiness.
Cringy laugh.
Yeah.
Hooked nose.
Yeah. Your strength equivalent is room service.
And no, you have nothing in common with them, Pair of Geeks. I'm just mentioning them because I'm fond of you, or he actually predicted that we were going to react like that. Rice says, I like running horror games where they solve the mystery but not the whole story. Yeah, exactly. Philby says, I have 2 or 3 ideas for a Cthulhu game. Okay, do tell. For the player, says Wild Peak, says usually a sense of removal as actual fear doesn't often happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
People don't get genuinely freaked out by stuff at a table.
Well, there are ways to do it, but you have to bring the game into the real world. So, one of the things I did, that I don't know if Sue's still on the stream, but in a game that she played in and you were in, when I ran Cthulhu and I used the Jenga tower.
Yes.
That's a way of getting real fear in, but of course that Jenga tower was nothing at all to do with the
exactly.
game.
It was just
it was just my mechanism for doing the luck roll.
Yeah.
Which I think absolutely with Cthulhu always use Jenga unless you're playing online, because Tabletop Simulator does not do Jenga. But if you're playing in person, what I do, I get rid of the luck stat. Sorry, the camera's there. I get rid of the luck stat and I say, right, you take a brick out the Jenga tower and put it on top. Normal Jenga rules apply. That gets you +5 on the roll. You do it as many times as you like, but when that tower tumbles, shit goes wrong. And
Absolutely.
That's a genuine fear at the table. But of course, what you're really doing with that is you're playing Jenga, and that has genuine fear in it. So it's real fear is hard. You've got to play to the psychological angles.
Well, yeah,
it's like watching movies, isn't it?
Well, exactly. The way I see it is because the majority of people can detach fact from fiction. If they're seeing a real Jenga tower in front of them and they're properly interacting with it, that is going to naturally cause fear. Whereas describing something scary in the theatre of the mind doesn't create the same sort of feelings because it's fiction.
But there's other things you can do to create uncertainties, like one of the techniques we talked about in the How to GM Horror video was subverting expectations. So, when you ask for a perception roll, really the pass was a failure because it meant, no, you are so on edge and so alert, you're seeing things that aren't there. And it might just be a small movement, and the case I used was a floral skulls, and you might think that they're watching you because you're so hyped up. You've passed that perception roll. The player thinks, shit, those skulls are really moving because they know they passed that perception roll, but you're subverting that expectation, and that's why another trick to the barrel, as it were.
Yes. Michael B says the players have to be on board with letting themselves be afraid. Exactly, yes. It's like going to a Halloween haunted house. The fun is allowing yourself to be scared. You know the actors won't actually harm you. Yes, absolutely. I love immersing myself in and genuinely believing, you know, it's terrifying and stuff. Like when I ran the Cthulhu Master scenario last year, obviously I wasn't a player, but I was playing. But I wasn't a character. But I still kind of immersing myself in there in order to remember the story. I'm thinking, whoa, that's actually a really creepy, terrifying ending. That's horrible. And it wasn't even gory. It was just they got stuck in back in time, and the realization of, oh fuck, oh god, now I worked out what's gone wrong. It's like that
it's too late to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. That was really cool, but because I put myself in there. So yes, I agree, and I think the same thing with the kind of thing that I've come up with for my module and a few other things I've done is the you gotta allow yourself to go in there, absolutely. But I think with any role playing game, you gotta do that to a degree. If you're
but you know,
not
the very best horror games are when the whole table's got buy-in as their characters. And you really need it with Cthulhu more so than with D&D. With D&D, you can have a player that just likes to roll the dice and do their attack and say, I hit them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't kind of matter because you move past them and get on to the next player, and it doesn't take you out of the immersion. But with Cthulhu, if you've got a player that's just like, I roll for Cthulhu Mythos.
You roll for Cthulhu Mythos.
And, you know, you've got a player that says, I make a history check.
Yeah, but it was particularly fun with Cthulhu Mythos because you hardly ever get points in that.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, it's when you've got that player that doesn't sort of engage with the narrative in that way, it's really disruptive to Cthulhu.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know, the best games, and when I myself play the best, is when I'm with players who are, you know, that engaged. I remember your Clockwork opera campaign.
Oh yes,
the very first one. And what made that first season really stand out as great was it was littered with players who really did a great job of playing
really in there,
fantastic and interesting characters. You know, like Dante with his the mechanic girl.
Lenara. Was it Lenara?
I can't remember her name, but there was so much personality to the character. You know, even Lloyd managed to complete a sentence without saying Iskloft. When does that last happen?
Well,
you know.
Well, no, everybody did a fantastic job role playing, and there was a lot of thought in session 0 as well about what you wanted to do. But what was nice is the reason why you did that, I think, was because I did create a believable world with hierarchies and certain rules that can be broken and cultures and stuff, and I enjoyed creating that. So it's good.
Anyway, sorry, we were talking about chat.
Yes. Ronnie says, I definitely agree with session 0 with Cult. Moreover, I sometimes have considered using a different horror system other than Cult to ensure the players felt okay with the subject.
No, I'm going to put on my Alex Jones impersonation here. Everyone needs a session 0!
Good.
Doesn't matter about the system.
Altered Carbon I thought was good, but it did take a few episodes to really kick in. Sue says, I like role-playing being scared, and even though I'm not actually scared. Yeah, exactly. Like, I enjoyed when I inadvertently took a hallucination drug and I got scared because dead people were moving in your game, and obviously they weren't, but I enjoyed that. In particular, I love it when GMs pass notes and it's like, oh, okay, it's one of those, right? Okay, what does it say? Oh, yeah. So that was cool. Phil says, are you GMing the Masters again this year? I mean, I haven't talked about it with anyone. I would like to, so yes, no, maybe. I don't know.
I was thinking about not playing this year.
fine. I mean, one of the main problems with it is the timing in terms of us going around the trade halls.
Yeah, we did sort of say we want more time to prep for Con+3 this year.
Yeah.
Because UK Games Expo is our big opportunity to pick up sponsors. And the problem with the Masters is it's on Friday.
Yes.
If it was on the Saturday, it'd be no problem. No one goes in the trade hall on a Saturday. That's when all the punters turn up. It's too
Yes.
busy in there. Can't get any... can pick up sponsors on a Saturday, but
It's
a lot
very
of them want us
difficult.
to come back on the Sunday or something. So, you know...
They want us to fuck off because they want to sell stuff, which is fair enough.
And completely understand it. And that, so yeah, having the Friday for sponsors is, I think, very important for us this year. So that means the Cthulhu Masters is a problem. So I was thinking of not competing. Because the problem is, you know, I enter this thing thinking, well, look, it's only one game because I won't get through to the final. But every time I get through to the bloody final...
Yeah.
So, it's like, stop it, Becky.
But yes, we'll have to sort something out with that.
You want to do it, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, but Plus.
I know.
I'll need another
I know.
person then to run sound or something.
Hmm.
Right. Are we up to date on chat?
We are up to date, yes.
Right. So, if we go to bed.
Yep, up to bed.
I do
But also
need
my
to
throat hurts.
chop the start of this video off. But yes, we have reached the end of the stream. The last ever Pog Live. And I'm not even
the
sat
last
properly on
ever,
the
the
sofa.
last regular
The
Pog
last-
Live.
Even though it's kind of isolated and by itself. Sort of regular. On the scheduled night.
Yeah, well.
The scheduled return of Pog Live, we come back to say bye. But no, we aren't. This isn't the end. We
No.
are. Please don't ever channel Alex Jones again.
You've been told.
Sorry. But every game needs a session 0. Yeah. This is it. This is the end of our regular Pog Lives.
Yes.
We're gonna go back to making the really cool, hard to make videos. The first one is gonna be reviewing whatever this game is
Yeah.
that comes with an actual dungeon set that you can use for D&D.
But before then, thank you so much to these people who are the most awesome people in the world. They are Russell Higgins, Joe Mangina, Mark Threlford, Brandon Fishwick, Ormber, Dave Poirier, Fiuk Enterprises, Nate Hanshan, AJ, Philip Bate, Elizabeth Chopraditkull, and David Gaskin.
Thank you very much for your continued support, guys. Even though some of you have crossed your names off that list. You will still appear in the credits on videos. We will still be making videos. We will still do a Pog Live when we want to do it.
Yes.
But we want to make some of the hard to make videos, and that does mean making more time available.
Yeah.
So thank you. We really enjoy these streams with you guys. It's always great. Love them. But we want to break from them. We want to do other things. And we will be back. What's more, we'll be back for the biggest ever RPG giveaway
Well, yes,
in the history
obviously.
of the human race in October.
If anything, that stream just kind of covers the whole year because it's 24-ish streams in one.
So should we go out for a prize fight?
Sure.
Let's do it! I want to see if that Thunderwave spell kicks off. Sorry, I called it something else for copyright reasons. Shockwave.
Oh yeah, Shockwave.
Yes. Right, here we go. See, it's got really dark in that arena.
Oh, yes, so it has.
Yeah. So the gates are opening, and the gladiators are about to enter into an arena of doom. It's going to be a lot hard to commentate on this without actual names above their heads. So let's go have a look who we got. The same characters we had earlier.
randomly determined by, oh look, we've got a walking glitch. There's some animation data that isn't quite right. So we have 3 of them, and none of them are magic users, so they're not interesting. Let's get the next people. I want to see the magic users, because that's the bit I'm working on at the minute. And like all creatives, I only care about what I'm currently doing, not what I've already done. Right, so the next lot, we got magic users. It's a big gaggle. That is a lot of, it's supposed to only be 3 of each armor type, but we've got like 9, 12 of them. Loads of them. And 2 magic users. We got there's loads of magic. Right, okay. This one's gonna see some explosions. This might be too dark. I'm curious to know how bright this is on your screens, because this is what I was intending to run through the night on this, and is it still visible? But anyway.
Well, surely it looks like the expert screen.
Lord Morbius has just turned up.
Oh my god, seriously.
Talk about late to the party, Lord Morbius.
Yeah, I mean, everyone else is like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm late. It's like, no, you're not late. Morbius is friggin' late. Is it because he's been drooling over the new Morbius movie?
I don't even want to know. So anyway, the fight is a go. We have lightning everywhere and
it's
something's chained.
It's as in the Spider-Man Morbius, the vampire.
No, who cares? There's a prize fight.
More
lightning! Oh, I love it. I love it. Fireballs going off now. People on fire. That's what we want to see. And then go and have a closer look at these flames. Look at the pain. That leg is going to be seriously scorched in the morning. So this is the really shoddy colour spray effect that I'm halfway through coding, so it's not great. So we'll move on from that. Let's have a look at some melee animations. They just died on me. That's like really bad timing, guys. Seriously. Alright, let's go have a look over here. What are we going to do? Stop running around. Stop fighting each other. Look at this shiny metal. Oh, I think we just saw a thunderwave. All the people just got pushed back. So yes. Sorry, shockwave. Here we've got a glitched animation.
I can tell that
you have thunderwave.
That you've coded this because you're noticing it way more than me because you know what to look out for.
Yeah, I know what I haven't done yet.
That's an interesting tactic there.
It's unexpected. And meanwhile, this magic user's just sitting there casting colour spray to reduce aggro because they haven't. Oh, they've given up. They've given up. They're just. I've had enough. So's that guy. Now we're going to see these 2 guys melee it out. Or somebody else is getting back up into the fight.
And another one?
Each other. Yep. Oh, no, they got up and then sat back down again. They're like, no, screw this shit. Screw this. These people are seriously hurting. There's another glitched animation.
Maybe they just sneezed.
They got up and said, no. They actually, like, you could see it in their animation. They were like, no. Oh, I'll clobbered across the face. And there's our victor. Somebody with high morale, no hit points, and a tiny bit of stamina. They look a little bit like a 1980s video arcade machine where you're playing like a space.
Wow, they must be a vocalist if they're breathing that deeply.
Well,
seriously.
Got animations. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but the chest is expanding so much. They must be a vocalist. Just saying.
Yes. I genuinely am creating backstories for all of these, and they're all vocalists. Good night, all.
Good night.
We will see you soon with some of our cool, awesome, new, high-quality videos that will be coming your way soon. Take care.
Bye.
Have an awesome year, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
This won't be our last live video. It's just live for now. So, okay, bye-bye.
Bye.